Chapter 1618. Swoosh, whoosh. After discovering the Foxman Valley Patriarch's secret, Ningyu's heart finally calmed down. The fact that the Foxman Valley Patriarch was troubled by the black gas meant that Paragon Palace had become the strongest faction in Foxman Valley. Why don't I make the Nine-Tailed Fox clan in Foxman Valley a branch of Paragon Palace? When he thought of this, Ningyu was shocked by himself. Right now, Paragon Palace had the Bloodthirsty Wolf clan and the Golden Arowana clan. If there was an additional Nine-Tailed Fox clan, one could imagine how powerful Paragon Palace would become. Foxman Valley was different from Bada and the Golden Arowana King. Bada and the Golden Arowana King might be the branch masters of the Bloodthirsty Wolf clan and the Golden Arowana King, but there weren't many of them in their clans. Their strength was also mediocre. Foxman Valley was different. Just Green Fox and Black Fox alone were enough to sweep the Bloodthirsty Wolf clan and the Golden Arowana clan. I need to think about this at length. Ningyu wasn't a rash person. He knew that making Foxman Valley a branch of Paragon Palace was even harder than ascending to the heavens. At the very least, he had to convince the Foxman Valley Patriarch. He probably wouldn't be able to convince the Foxman Valley Patriarch with just brute force. The only thing he could do now was to start with the black gas in the Foxman Valley Patriarch's body. Hand over the Starsky flower. After the Foxman Valley Patriarch appeared, he didn't even look at Ningyu and the others as he spoke to White Fox. Patriarch, the Starsky flower is in their hands. Without waiting for White Fox to speak, Green Fox hurriedly pointed at Ningyu. Hearing this, the Foxman Valley Patriarch's gaze finally shifted to Ningyu. His perception began to probe Ningyu's body without restraint. Humph. Ningyu was naturally very displeased with the Foxman Valley Patriarch's unrestrained probing. He coldly snorted and said, "Those who come from afar are guests. Is this how the Grand Foxman Valley's old ancestor treats his guests?" The reason why Ningyu acted tough was because he had the capital to be tough. Because of the black gas in his body, the Foxman Valley Patriarch could no longer unleash the power of a peak Sky Supreme. Right now, the Foxman Valley Patriarch could only unleash the strength of an early-stage Sky Supreme. Hearing Ningyu's unbridled words, the Foxman Valley ancestor raised his eyebrows and revealed a faint expression of anger. If he could obtain the Star Heaven flower, he would be able to obtain the golden key inside the Star Heaven flower and have the opportunity to exchange the key for medicinal herbs that could heal his internal injuries. Anyone who tried to stop him from obtaining the golden key would be his enemy. Green Fox, what are you waiting for? Quickly take them down. Foxman Valley's old ancestor said angrily. This Azure Fox was no fool. The reason why she had become enemies with Ningyu's group was to wait for the old ancestor to appear and suppress Ningyu's group. Now, the old ancestor had appeared, but he wanted her to deal with Ningyu's group. Wasn't this nonsense? Although she was a late-stage Sky Supreme, Ningyu also had a late-stage Sky Supreme like Black Fox on his side. Azure Fox knew Black Fox well. In order to survive, Black Fox would definitely fight with her. Are you not willing to help? The Foxman Valley Patriarch's expression instantly turned cold. He said in a deep voice, "I am the Foxman Valley Patriarch, and I have the Nine-Tailed Pearl. Do you want to betray the Foxman Valley?" As he spoke, the Foxman Valley Patriarch reached into his pocket and took out an egg-sized pearl. The pearl had a total of 9 colors: red, orange, yellow, green, cyan, blue, purple, black, and white. The 9 colors surrounded the surface of the pearl, looking extremely enchanting. Nine-tailed pearl. Ningyu and Azure Fox's expressions were completely different when they saw the pearl in the Foxman Valley Patriarch's hand. Ningyu was excited because it was highly likely that he would obtain the nine-tailed pearl soon. Azure Fox, on the other hand, was afraid. As a late-stage Sky Supreme of the Nine-Tailed Fox clan, she had already left a drop of blood essence in the Nine-Tailed Pearl. As long as the Foxman Valley Patriarch was willing, He could make her suffer inhumane torture at any time. Can I say something? After the excitement, Ning Yu calmed down. Especially after seeing Azure Fox about to attack him, Ning Yu finally decided to use his wits to persuade the Foxman Valley Patriarch. After all, Azure Fox was a late-stage Sky Supreme. If she used her full strength, it would still be somewhat powerful. Speak. The Foxman Valley Patriarch's expression was cold. If I'm satisfied with your words, I can spare your life. I haven't lived long enough, so of course I don't want to die, Ning Yu smiled and said. If I'm not wrong, that black ball in your body, enough! Before Ning Yu could finish, the Foxman Valley Patriarch said coldly, hand over the Starsky flower, or I'll let you know why flowers are so red. I'm sorry, but I know better than you why flowers are red. Ning Yu shrugged and said, I just want to remind you that with your current condition, you won't live for more than 3 days without treatment. What? Ning Yu's voice was not loud, nor was it soft. Azure Fox and Azure Fox also heard it clearly. The Foxman Valley Patriarch was injured? Azure Fox and Azure Fox had never thought about it in this way. However, the Foxman Valley Patriarch's reaction was enough to prove that Ning Yu was not making things up. Damn it! Azure Fox and Azure Fox were shocked, while the Foxman Valley Patriarch was furious. The Foxman Valley Patriarch did not want others to know that there was a black gas in his body or that he was seriously injured. After looking around, the Foxman Valley Patriarch's worry eased a little. There were only 3 nine-tailed demon foxes in the entire area. Azure Fox and Azure Fox. As long as Azure Fox and Azure Fox did not say anything, the 9-tailed demon fox would not know. I can heal the injuries in your body. Ning Yu's words shocked everyone to death, and he went straight to the point without the slightest hesitation. You can heal the injuries in my body? What can you? You can heal the injuries in my body? At first, the Foxman Valley Patriarch wanted to reprimand Ning Yu. However, when he came back to his senses, his eyes widened and he said, Are you sure you're not kidding me? Recently, the Foxman Valley Patriarch had been troubled by the black gas in his body. Almost every few hours, he would endure a heart-wrenching pain. Even a pinnacle heavenly supreme like him couldn't bear the pain. I'm willing to bet my life that as long as you trust me and give me time, I can definitely heal the injuries in your body. Ning Yu did not even frown when he lied. No matter what, he had to calm the Foxman Valley Patriarch first. As for how to heal the Foxman Valley Patriarch's injuries, he was not in a hurry. Chapter 1619. Chapter 1619. Emperor Palace's Trick. You have 10 minutes to convince me. The Foxman Valley Patriarch was indeed a peak expert. He quickly calmed down and said, If you can't convince me after 10 minutes, you should know the consequences better than me. As expected of an old fox, the more he lives, the more shrewd he becomes. Hearing the Foxman Valley Patriarch's words, Ning Yu felt a little troubled. However, Ning Yu was someone who knew how difficult it was. If he wanted to take down the Foxman Valley without bloodshed, he had to first obtain the Foxman Valley Patriarch's trust. Otherwise, there would be a huge battle. I can convince you in 10 minutes, but I'm afraid you won't give me the chance. Ning Yu took a deep breath and said with a serious expression, Humph, stop pretending. Tell me, how do you want me to give you the chance? The Foxman Valley Patriarch snorted. It's very simple. I want to separate a bit of my soul power into your body and see what that black gas in your heart is, Ning Yu said as he stared at the Foxman Valley Patriarch. All right. The Foxman Valley Patriarch was bold and skilled. He placed his hands behind his back and said, I want to see what tricks you can play. Swoosh. Ning Yu did not continue to talk nonsense with the Foxman Valley Patriarch. With a thought, a bit of soul power rushed out of his body and rushed toward the Foxman Valley Patriarch. The Foxman Valley Patriarch did not go back on his words. He stood on the spot and looked at the soul power that was rushing toward him. His expression did not change at all. His expression did not change. The Foxman Valley Patriarch's expression could not be better described as being expressionless. Seeing the Foxman Valley Patriarch's behavior, Ning Yu could not help but nod. Even an experienced nine-tailed fox demon like the Foxman Valley Patriarch was so obedient. One could only imagine how powerful the black gas in his body was. Thinking of this, Ning Yu's cautious behavior became even more cautious. Poof! Ning Yu's soul power was very fast. It entered the Foxman Valley Patriarch's body almost instantly and carefully approached the black gas. What is it? Ning Yu controlled his soul power and started to circle around the black gas inside the Foxman Valley Patriarch's body. He didn't dare to get close. Although he was quite a distance away from the black gas, Ning Yu could still sense an aura that made his heart palpitate. If it weren't for Ning Yu's strong willpower, he would have been confused by this aura. While Ning Yu was probing the black gas, Azure Fox and White Fox stood on either side of the Foxman Valley Patriarch, glaring at Guoliang. Although Guo Liang's aura had declined, he had just displayed the strength of a pinnacle heavenly sovereign. If Guo Liang suddenly attacked, the Foxman Valley Patriarch would not be able to stop him alone. Therefore, Green Fox and White Fox were temporarily responsible for the safety of Foxman Valley's Patriarch. As for the Golden Arowana Fish King and the others, they did not have so many scruples. Since Ning Yu had come out to check on the Foxman Valley Patriarch's injuries, there would definitely be no problems. After all, Ning Yu was the Palace Lord of Paragon Palace. As members of Paragon Palace, they had to trust Ning Yu unconditionally. Could Ning Yu really be able to discover what the black gas inside the Foxman Valley Patriarch's body is? On Ning Yu's side, the only person who was suspicious of Ning Yu was Guoliang. However, Guoliang was not truly suspicious of Ning Yu. He had his own plans. If Ning Yu could really detect the Foxman Valley Patriarch's injuries, it meant that Ning Yu was confident that he could cure the goo poison in his body. Guoliang was still able to calculate this debt. Time passed minute by minute. In the blink of an eye, 10 minutes had passed. Whoosh! At that moment, a cold light suddenly rushed out of the Foxman Valley Patriarch's body and returned to Ning Yu's mind. How is it? Have you figured it out? The Foxman Valley Patriarch stared at Ning Yu and said coldly, 10 minutes are up. If you can't give me a convincing explanation, then don't even think about leaving Foxman Valley today. As he spoke, the Foxman Valley Patriarch waved his hand. Suddenly, the sky above Foxman Valley was covered with dark clouds. It seemed like the entire sky was covered. Oh no, it's the sky blot formation. The sudden appearance of the dark clouds did not cause much reaction to Ning Yu and the others. However, Grandmaster Zhao's expression changed drastically. I didn't expect you to know about the sky blot formation. You are indeed not simple. The Foxman Valley Patriarch glanced at Grandmaster Zhao and said calmly, now that the sky blot formation has been activated, don't even think about breaking out without the cultivation of a half-sage. Activating the sky blot formation consumes a large amount of energy every minute and second. I believe that with the current resources of Foxman Valley, it will be difficult to maintain, right? Grandmaster Zhao said. You don't have to worry about that. The Foxman Valley Patriarch waved his hand and then looked at Ning Yu. He said, You haven't said anything yet. Do you not know what the black gas in my body is? Indeed, I don't know what the black gas in your body is. This time, Ning Yu did not lie to the Foxman Valley Patriarch. He shook his head slowly and said, Even though I have seen many things, I have never seen the black gas in your body. In that case, you can die now. The Foxman Valley Patriarch waved his right hand. In an instant, a dark cloud floated above Ning Yu's head and looked like it was going to rush down. Although I don't know what the black gas in your body is, I know that it belongs to the Emperor Divine Palace. Chapter 16:20. The Foxman Valley Patriarch's face darkened at the thought. If Ningyu was someone sent by the Emperor Divine Palace, then he was doomed. He wanted to get rid of the black gas in his body and get rid of the Emperor Palace's control. If the Sky Supreme from Emperor Palace knew about this, he would be in deep trouble. Even if he didn't die, he would lose a layer of skin. Why are you angry, Senior? The Foxman Valley Patriarch's action made Ningyu feel that something was wrong. He was right, but the Foxman Valley Patriarch wanted to kill him. Ningyu knew that the Foxman Valley Patriarch was afraid that he would tell the Emperor Palace. After all, he was under the control of the Emperor Palace's experts. Once Ningyu told the Emperor Palace, he would be finished. Therefore, it was reasonable for the Foxman Valley Patriarch to want to kill him. Tell me, who are you? The Foxman Valley Patriarch waved his hands. Suddenly, the dark clouds in the sky became more and more violent. I killed several heavenly sovereigns of the God Emperor Palace. Ningyu decided to persuade the Foxman Valley Patriarch. He took a step forward and said, "Who do you think I am? Did you really kill a few heavenly sovereigns from the God Emperor Palace?" The Foxman Valley's old ancestor wasn't sure if Ningyu was telling the truth. "Haha, you can believe me or not." Ningyu smiled and said, "The reason why I entered the Moling Mountain range this time is mainly to destroy the sacred grade crystal mine of the Emperor Palace in the Moling Mountain range." "You even know about the sacred grade Yuan crystal mine?" The Foxman Valley Patriarch was a little less worried when he heard Ningyu mention the sacred grade Yuan crystal mine. There were very few people who knew about the sacred grade Yuan crystal mine of Emperor Palace in the Moling Mountain range. Over the years, the Emperor Palace had been secretly mining the sacred grade Yuan crystal mine in the Moling Mountain range. Every once in a while, the Sky Supreme expert guarding the mine would leave. Every time the heavenly sovereigns guarding the Saint Grade crystal vein left, they would only bring a few interspatial pouches that were filled with Saint Grade origin crystals. When the Sky Supreme expert came back, he would bring a few people with him. The people brought back by the Sky Supreme expert were not all at the same level. Some were at the origin core realm, some were at the creation realm, while others were at the Inyan realm and some were at the sovereign realm. According to the Foxman Valley Patriarch speculation, 80% of the people brought back by the Sky Supreme from the Emperor Divine Palace were laborers in charge of mining the Saint Grade primordial crystal mine. In fact, when the Foxman Valley Patriarch had heard about the sacred grade essence crystal mine, he had already started to trust Ningyu. The Emperor Palace had always been cautious. Even in the Emperor Palace, only a few people knew about such an important place like the sacred grade Yuan crystal mine. The fact that Ningyu could say it without any scruples meant that there was an irreconcilable hatred between them and the Emperor Palace, just as Ningyu had said. However, the Foxman Valley Patriarch said in a deep voice, "Even if what you said is true, what about the black gas in my body?" "Whoever started the trouble should end it," Ningyu said. "You mean let the people from the Emperor Palace help me get rid of the black gas in my body?" the Foxman Valley Patriarch asked hesitantly. "No wonder you're the Foxman Valley Patriarch. You're very smart." Ningyu nodded and said, "With the people we have, we can definitely succeed in attacking the sacred grade Yuan crystal mine of Emperor Palace in the Moling Mountain range." Ningyu glanced at the Foxman Valley Patriarch and said, "When the time comes, I want the sacred grade Yuan crystal mine in the sacred grade Yuan crystal mine of Emperor Palace. At that time, I want the Saint Grade origin crystals in the Saint Grade origin crystal vein. As for that heavenly sovereign, I'll leave it to you so that you can find a way to expel the black aura in your body." The Foxman Valley Patriarch was a little tempted by Ningyu's idea. It was impossible for the Foxman Valley Patriarch to attack the sacred grade Yuan crystal mine with their strength alone. One must know that the heavenly sovereign of the God Emperor Palace had set up numerous spiritual arrays around the Saint Grade origin crystal vein. Every single formation required him to personally open it. The Foxman Valley Patriarch went to the sacred grade Yuan crystal mine 3 times in total. Every time he went, he would feel a lingering fear. That was because there were always corpses of demonic beasts in the arrays around the sacred grade Yuan crystal mine. The cultivation of those demonic beasts ranged from the Yin-Yang realm to the creation realm. Once, the Foxman Valley Patriarch even saw a Sky Supreme demonic beast lying in the array. It had died a horrible death. How much do you know about the sacred grade Yuan crystal mine? The Foxman Valley Patriarch did not say whether he would agree to Ningyu's request. The sacred grade Yuan crystal mine is very important to the Emperor Palace. There must be a lot of guards there, Ningyu replied. A lot of guards? Haha, you think too little of the Emperor Palace. The corners of the Foxman Valley Patriarch's mouth rose as he sneered. To tell you the truth, there are dozens of formations of various sizes around the Sage Grade Origin crystal vein. Those who are not well versed in formations cannot even enter the Sage Grade Origin crystal vein. In that case, you must have been to the Sacred Grade Yuan crystal mine? Ningyu asked hurriedly when he heard the hidden meaning in the Foxman Valley Patriarch's words. You must make me believe you. The Foxman Valley Patriarch looked at Ningyu and did not continue after saying that. The Foxman Valley Patriarch's meaning was clear. He did not particularly trust Ningyu. If Ningyu wanted to know what was inside the sacred grade Yuan crystal mine, he had to gain his trust. Sapling, give me the starry flower. Ningyu knew that the Foxman Valley Patriarch was very suspicious, so he contacted the sapling. The only thing he could do now was to give the starry flower to the Foxman Valley Patriarch. Otherwise, he would not be able to gain the Foxman Valley Patriarch's trust. What do you want the starry flower for now? Give me 3 more minutes. I'll be able to take out the golden key from the starry flower in 3 minutes. The sapling did not want to hand over the starry flower. In order to take out the golden key from the starry flower, the sapling did not hesitate to use 2 of its golden branches to reduce its cultivation from grade 6 Earth Supreme to grade 5 Earth Supreme. Seeing that he was about to take out the starry flower, Ningyu wanted him to hand over the starry flower along with the golden key. Wasn't this nonsense? Don't talk nonsense. You can leave something in the golden key first. I'll help you snatch the golden key in the future. Ningyu said coldly. He did not want to waste time talking to the sapling. All right, I hope you can do what you say. The sapling had no choice but to hand over the Xing Tianhuan to Ningyu. However, before handing over the starry flower, the sapling squeezed out a drop of liquid from one of its branches and placed it in the golden key. The sapling knew that the golden key was very precious, so he had to keep it in his hands. Chapter 16:21. Hand over the starflower. Here. After receiving the sapling's approval, Ningyu pulled out the starry heavenly flower from his storage ring and tossed it to the Foxman Valley Patriarch. Whoosh! Looking at the Starsky flower flying towards him, the Foxman Valley's ancestor's mouth gaped open, feeling that this was quite unbelievable. Not only was Foxman Valley Patriarch shocked, but even Green Fox and White Fox were dumbfounded. They couldn't understand why Ningyu would return the Sky Star flower to the Foxman Valley Patriarch after spending so much effort to obtain it. Could it be that there was a trap? Pah! Regardless of whether it was a trap or not, there was no reason for the Foxman Valley Patriarch to reject the meat that was already in his mouth. He raised his right hand and firmly held the Starsky flower in his hand. He spread out his perception and carefully checked the Starsky flower. Only when he confirmed that the golden key was still inside did he let out a sigh of relief. His tense body relaxed a little. Even if Ningyu didn't really want to help him, he could exchange the golden key for the antidote from the Emperor Palace. Can you trust me now? Ningyu spread his hands at the Foxman Valley Patriarch and said, if your Foxman Valley works with us, we might be able to destroy the sacred grade, primordial crystal mine of Emperor Divine Palace. I told you, you underestimated the Emperor Divine Palace. The Foxman Valley Patriarch carefully put away the Starsky flower and said, I have been to the Sage Great Essence Crystal Mine 3 times. There are many formations around the Sage Great Essence Crystal Mine. However, the interior of the Sage Great Essence Crystal Mine is also very dangerous. After saying that, the Foxman Valley Patriarch stretched out his right hand and spread out his 5 fingers. There are at least 5 powerful auras in the primal crystal vein. Although the black miasma in my body has restricted my strength, I can be sure that the weakest amongst the 5 cultivators in the primal crystal vein is a pinnacle heavenly sovereign. Voila! Hearing the Foxman Valley Patriarch's words, Ning Yu's heart was in turmoil. There were actually 5 pinnacle heavenly sovereigns in the Saint Grade Origin crystal vein. That's just too much nonsense. One must know that the Emperor Palace might be powerful, but not even their strongest expert was a pinnacle heavenly sovereign. Ning, you would never believe that there were 5 pinnacle heavenly sovereigns in the Saint Grade Origin crystal vein alone. However, from the Foxman Valley Patriarch's behavior, Ning Yu could tell that he was not talking. For a moment, Ning Yu was caught in a dilemma. If they went to the Saint Grade Origin crystal vein, they might be surrounded by the 5 pinnacle heavenly sovereigns. If they didn't go, then their trip to the Moling mountain range would end in failure. According to what you've said, I can't go to the Saint Grade crystal mine. Ning Yu asked with a slight frown. Yes, the Foxman Valley's ancestor nodded his head before he shook his head. Unless you can find a way to deal with 5 pinnacle heavenly sovereigns, you'll only be courting death. Master Zhao. Ning Yu could not help but look at Master Zhao. Master Zhao slowly shook his head and said, I can indeed set up a formation to trap pinnacle heavenly sovereigns, but it will require a huge amount of materials, and it will take at least 3 months. Hearing Master Zhao's words, Ning Yu immediately gave up on the idea of letting Master Zhao do it. If he spent 3 months setting up the formation, it would probably be too late by then. All right. Suddenly, Ning Yu seemed to have thought of something and asked the Foxman Valley Patriarch again, Did you find any extremely powerful formation in the Saint Grade Origin crystal vein? The kind that you couldn't figure out even after looking at it. HM? Hearing this, the Foxman Valley Patriarch frowned and fell into deep thought. Ning Yu did not continue to interrogate the Foxman Valley Patriarch. Instead, he quietly waited. The reason why Ning Yu asked the Foxman Valley Patriarch about this was because he had suddenly thought of a possibility. From the people of the demon spirit realm, Ning Yu had learned that there was an unparalleled demon spirit realm expert trapped in the formation in the depths of the Moling mountain range. Ning Yu had asked the Foxman Valley Patriarch because he had doubts in his heart. He suspected that there was a powerful formation in the Saint Grade Origin crystal vein, and that formation was used to trap demon spirit realm experts. Although the possibility of this suspicion was not high, Ning Yu still wanted to confirm it. From what you said, it seems to be possible. The Foxman Valley Patriarch furrowed his brows and began to recall everything he had seen. A while later, the Foxman Valley Patriarch said, In the deepest part of the Saint Grade Origin crystal vein, where the 5 pinnacle heavenly sovereigns are, there is indeed a formation. Even I can't see any flaws in that formation. It seems that it really is possible. Ning Yu felt that there was still a chance to turn things around. Since there was a formation in the depths of the Saint Grade Origin crystal vein, it meant that there was a demon spirit realm expert imprisoned there. As for why there was a demon spirit realm expert imprisoned in the Emperor Palace, Ning Yu did not know, nor did he want to know. Right now, Ning Yu was most concerned about how to deal with the 5 pinnacle heavenly sovereigns. Right now, I can only hide around the Saint Grade Origin crystal vein and wait for an opportunity. Ning, you did not want to take risks too early. At the very least, it should be the demon spirit realm experts who came to rescue him. They could just sit back and watch the tigers fight. Do you have a way to deal with the 5 pinnacle heavenly sovereigns? Seeing that Ning Yu was a little stunned, the Foxman Valley Patriarch said impatiently. I do have a way, but I need your cooperation. Ningyu knew what the Foxman Valley Patriarch was worried about, so he directly said, I need a few heavenly starry petals and a large amount of medicinal ingredients. Swish! As he spoke, Ningyu waved his sleeve, and a list of medicinal ingredients flew to the Foxman Valley Patriarch. Whoosh! Catching the list, the Foxman Valley Patriarch first glanced at it, then his mouth slightly opened, and he said in surprise, What do you need these medicinal ingredients for? To refine elixirs, of course. Ningyu nodded. To deal with the 5 pinnacle heavenly sovereigns, I need to refine a few elixirs first. Azure Fox, White Fox. The Foxman Valley Patriarch did not waste any more time and said in a deep voice, Go and prepare the medicinal ingredients on the list. Yes, Azure Fox and White Fox took the list, but they did not even look at it and turned to leave. The Foxman Valley was located in the depths of the Moling Mountain Range. There were many medicinal ingredients in the Moling Mountain Range, and the 9-tailed fox clan had accumulated a large amount of medicinal ingredients over the years. Azure Fox and White Fox did not care about just a few medicinal ingredients. Can you tell me about your plan? Seeing that Azure Fox and White Fox had left, the Foxman Valley Patriarch stared into Ningyu's eyes and asked, Please allow me to keep you in suspense for now. When the 2 9-tailed foxes bring back the medicinal ingredients, I will tell you. Ningyu cupped his hands and even changed the way he addressed the Foxman Valley Patriarch. At this point, the Foxman Valley Patriarch was basically on the same side as him. Chapter 1622. Chapter 1622. Chapter 1622 to attack. Don't call me senior. My name is Huwentian, said the Foxman Valley's old ancestor, Huwentian. Senior Fox, when the 2 9-tailed demon foxes return, I will definitely reveal the entire plan. Huwentian had asked Ningyu to call him by his name. However, Ningyu would not foolishly comply. At the very least, he would have to address Huwentian as senior, who before he joined the Supreme Hall. Up to you. Huwentian shrugged his shoulders, then closed his eyes and began to meditate. Huwentian did not speak, and Ningyu did not speak either. For a moment, the entire area fell silent. Whoosh! Whoosh! However, this silence did not last for long before it was broken by 2 sounds of something tearing through the air. The green fox and white fox rushed over from afar and appeared in front of Ningyu and the others in the blink of an eye. Here. After they appeared, Qinghu tossed a storage pouch to Ningyu and said, There are 10 sets of medicinal ingredients in there. Thank you. After catching the storage bag, Ningyu expressed his gratitude and threw the storage bag to Grandmaster Xingyin. Furthermore, Ningyu turned to Huwentian and said, Senior Hu, I have a presumptuous request. What is it? Huwentian asked. I need 10 Starsky flower petals. Ningyu didn't beat around the bush and went straight to the point. No problem. Without a second thought, Huwentian plucked 10 petals from the Starsky flower and handed them to Ningyu. Huwentian needed the golden key within the Star Heaven flower, not the Star Heaven flower itself. It could be said that if Ningyu wanted the entire Starsky flower, Huwentian would have given it to him. Also, I need a quiet room, Ningyu continued. I will satisfy all of your conditions, Huwentian waved his hand and said, Now, please tell me your overall plan. Actually, my plan is very simple. Ningyu knew that he had to inform Huwentian of the plan. If he delayed it any longer, Huwentian would definitely get angry. After sorting out his thoughts, Ningyu said in a clear voice, Grandmaster Xingyin is a peak 9th grade alchemist. His attainments in alchemy are very high. I asked you to prepare the medicinal ingredients and the starry sky petals so that Grandmaster Xingyin can help me concoct pills. I really want to know, what's the relationship between you getting star? Grandmaster Xingyun to refine pellets and dealing with 5 pinnacle heavenly sovereigns? Do you think that you can make those 5 pinnacle heavenly sovereigns retreat with just a few elixirs? Hu Wentian asked in puzzlement. It's impossible to deal with 5 pinnacle heavenly sovereigns with just a few elixirs, but as he spoke, Ningyu briefly paused before he continued. With pellets and 2 pinnacle heavenly sovereigns, or even quasi-saints, we should be able to deal with 5 pinnacle heavenly sovereigns. You have quasi-saint companions? Hu Wentian's heart skipped a beat as he exclaimed. The quasi-saint realm was something that Hu Wentian could only dream of. Without any fortuitous encounters, Hu Wentian might never be able to reach the quasi-saint realm in his lifetime. If he could obtain the experience of a quasi-saint expert, he would have a higher chance of success when he tried to break through to the quasi-saint realm in the future. Ningyu smiled. He didn't answer Hu Wentian's question. Instead, he said, Senior Hu, please prepare a quiet room for Grandmaster Xingyun to refine the pellets first. Although he wanted to know if Ningyu had any quasi-saint companions, Hu Wentian knew that Ningyu would tell him if he wanted to. Otherwise, there was no point in asking. Azure Fox and White Fox, bring Grandmaster Xingyun to the secret room. Remember, don't let anyone disturb Grandmaster Xingyun. Hu Wentian said in a clear voice. Russell. Following that, Azure Fox and White Fox led the way while Grandmaster Xingyun followed behind with 10 petals of the starry heavenly flower and 10 sets of medicinal ingredients. Senior Hu, I would like to learn more about the internal structure of the Saint Grade Yuan crystal vein. I hope you can enlighten me. After Grandmaster Xingyun and the others disappeared, Ningyu felt that he should learn more about the Saint Grade Yuan crystal vein. After all, only by knowing oneself and the enemy could one win 100 battles. There are a total of 3 caves in the Saint Grade Yuan crystal vein. Each cave is so deep that you can't see the bottom. Hu Wentian sorted out his thoughts and then began to speak tirelessly. While Hu Wentian was speaking, Ningyu didn't disturb him. Instead, he tried his best to listen to him. When he heard the key points, he even memorized them. It doesn't look good. Hu Wentian spoke for a full 10 minutes before he told Ningyu everything he knew. After listening to everything, Ningyu's face turned grave. From Hu Wentian's words, he knew that there were a total of 3 tunnels in the Saint Grade Yuan crystal vein. The heavenly supreme expert from the Emperor Palace would only enter one of the tunnels and ignore the other 2. You could basically conclude that the demon spirit realm expert was most likely in the tunnel that the heavenly supreme expert from the Emperor Palace went to. Forget it. Let's wait for Grandmaster Xingyun to refine the elixirs first. Ningyu took a deep breath and decided to wait. This time he had obtained 10 sets of medicinal ingredients from the Foxman Valley. This meant that Grandmaster Xingyun could refine 10 batches of elixirs. Every cauldron would refine 2 pills, and each elixir would allow Xie Zhe and Guoliang to work without restraint for 10 minutes. 10 batches, 20 elixirs. That would allow Xie Zhe and Guoliang to work for 200 minutes. With 200 minutes to act without restraint, this trip to the Saint Grade Primordial Crystal Vein would also have a very good guarantee. Most importantly, Ningyu had a hidden trump card. Unless it was absolutely necessary, Ningyu wouldn't reveal his trump card. If he consumed 10 elixirs together with Grandmaster Xingyun's and his help, Guoliang would be able to suppress the poison in his body for a short period of time and display the strength of a half-saint. Of course, even if he consumed 10 elixirs, Guoliang would only be able to maintain the strength of a half-saint for a minute. After all, the poison in Guoliang's body was terrifying. It would be difficult to suppress it with elixirs alone. It was already very good that Guoliang could maintain the strength of a half-saint for a minute with the help of Ningyu and Grandmaster Xingyun. Even Guoliang didn't know about this trump card. Since Grandmaster Xingyun would need at least 6 to 7 hours to refine 10 batches of elixirs, Ningyu chose to consolidate his cultivation during this time. Using the energy from the Earth Surge acupoint, Ningyu successfully advanced to the first grade Earth Supreme Realm. Although he couldn't advance to the second grade Earth Supreme Realm in a short period of time, cultivation was like rowing a boat against the current. Ning, you didn't want to waste 6 to 7 hours. Rumble. However, as soon as Ningyu sat down, his expression changed, and he immediately stood up. A loud noise came from the entrance of the Foxman Valley. Shit, it's the Heavenly Supreme Expert from the Saint Grade Yuan Crystal Vein. Chapter 16:23. Chapter 16:23. Chapter 16:23 Stratagem. Upon hearing Hu Wenqian's words, Ningyu's expression became extremely grave as he cried out in a deep voice. From Hu Wenqian's words, Ning, you could determine that the Heavenly Sovereign in the Saint Grade Origin Crystal Vein wasn't an ordinary initial phase Heavenly Sovereign. At the very least, he was at the middle phase Heavenly Sovereign realm. It was so much so that he might even be a late-stage Heavenly Sovereign. Although Xie Zhe could exert the strength of a pinnacle Heavenly Supreme for a short time by devouring elixirs, it was impossible for Xie Zhe to do so. However, Ning, you did not want Xie Zhe to use up the last pill. After all, rashly swallowing a medicinal pill without a clear understanding of the enemy's strength was an unwise move. You guys can leave first. I'll go out with Senior Fox. Ning Yu immediately made his decision. He told the Golden Arowana Fish King and the others to retreat, while he and Hu Wenqian went out to meet that Sky Supreme. I'll go with you. Xie Zhe was worried about Ningyu's safety, so he volunteered to follow Ningyu. All right. Ning, you only thought for a second before agreeing to Xie Zhe's request. Ningyu knew this better than anyone else. Xie Zhe volunteered, not because he was worried about his safety, but because he was afraid that no one would treat the goo poison in his body after he died. Ningyu saw through it, but didn't point it out. Whoosh! 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 Next, Ningyu, Xie Zhe, and Hu Wenqian rushed towards the entrance of Foxman Valley. Senior Fox, with the Sky-Split Eclipse Array, that Heavenly Sovereign from the Saint Grade Origin Crystal Vein, shouldn't be able to break in, right? As they moved forward, Ningyu did not forget to ask, Sai, every second that the Shrouding the Sun Great Array is activated consumes a large amount of energy. Hearing that, Hu Wenqian sighed and said, in recent years, the Foxman Valley has consumed a lot of energy. With its current energy, it can only last for 3 minutes. All right, let's go take a look at the entrance first. Ningyu also felt a little helpless. He didn't have much energy on him, and the amount of energy consumed by the sky-obscuring sun formation wasn't something he could afford. The only thing he could do now was to first figure out the enemy's actual situation and then think of another way. Hu Wenqian, get your ass out here right now. Before Ningyu and the others even reached the entrance of Foxman Valley, they heard the Sky Supreme Powerhouse cursing inside the Saint Grade Primal Crystal Mine. His voice is powerful, and his aura is deep in his dantian. His cultivation should be at the late Sky Supreme Realm. Based on the Berserk curses, Ningyu determined that the cultivator at the entrance of Foxman Valley was at least a late-stage Sky Supreme. Ordinary mid-stage Sky Supremes couldn't make such a sound. Swish, swish, swish. As Ningyu and the others were not too far from the exit of Foxman Valley, Ningyu and the others appeared at the exit of Foxman Valley after 10 seconds. The situation is a little troublesome. Looking at the gray-robed old man outside Foxman Valley, Ningyu's heart thumped. He knew that the situation was bad. The gray-robed elder's cultivation was indeed at the late Sky Supreme level. However, Ningyu wasn't worried about the gray-robed elder, but the experts hidden in the void around him. 3 cultivators, 2 late-stage Sky Supremes, and 1 peak Sky Supreme. Ningyu did his best to calm himself down and not reveal any flaws. Before coming here, Ningyu had thought that if it came down to it, he could have Xieze devour the elixir and kill the other party on the spot. But now, Ningyu had completely changed his strategy. Even if Xieze devoured the elixir, he definitely wouldn't be able to fight against the gray-robed elder and the others. 1 Peak Sky Supreme and 3 Late Sky Supreme. With such a lineup, Huan Tian could only unleash his peak combat power. Otherwise, acting rashly would only result in death. Who are they? The gray-robed elder's gaze turned sharp when he saw Huan Tian. If you can't give me a reasonable explanation today, I'll skin you alive. They're the Foxman Valley's esteemed guests. Although he was disgusted by the gray-robed elder's words, Huan Tian could only swallow his anger and hurriedly explained. A few hundred years ago, the first ancestor who founded the Foxman Valley, in order to fool the gray-robed elder, Huan Tian began to fabricate a story, saying that Ningyu was the benefactor of the first ancestor of the Foxman Valley. Huan Tian's expression didn't change when he started to panic, which made Ningyu admire him. All right. Don't talk to me about these useless things. When Huan Tian talked about Ningyu's origins, it was like a torrential river that flowed endlessly. The gray-clothed elder immediately waved his hand and interrupted Huan Tian's words. Quickly pack up and bring all the 9-tailed foxes of the Foxman Valley with me to the origin crystal vein. Huan Tian was briefly stunned before he replied. Didn't we agree beforehand that you're only going to control me? You won't implicate the other 9-tailed foxes in the Foxman Valley. That was then, and this is now. If you can do as I say, I'll give you the antidote after we're done with this mission. The gray-robed elder said in annoyance. All right, I promise you. Huan Tian briefly pondered before he continued. I'll gather all the 9-tailed foxes of the heavenly sovereign realm and above. As he spoke, Huan Tian turned around and walked into the Foxman Valley. As for Ningyu and Xieze, they stood on the spot and did not leave with Huan Tian. In fact, the reason why Huan Tian agreed to the gray-robed elder so quickly was because of Ningyu. Ningyu had already told Huan Tian about the stakes, and Huan Tian could only agree out of concern for the safety of the other 9-tailed foxes in the Foxman Valley. After Huan Tian left, the gray-robed elder waved his hand at Ningyu and said, The 2 of you, come over here. Ningyu had fear on his face as he hesitated and did not approach the gray-robed elder. Cowards! The gray-robed elder had a look of disgust on his face, but he quickly concealed it. After sorting out his thoughts, the gray-robed elder said, I have a few questions. As long as you can answer them truthfully, I will definitely let you go. Are you serious? Ningyu immediately asked with joy on his face. Yes. The gray-robed elder nodded his head and continued. The first question is, why did the Foxman Valley activate the sky shrouding array? Did someone launch an attack on the Foxman Valley? I'm not too sure if someone launched an attack on the Foxman Valley, but I do know that the 4 major forces of the Foxman Valley are fighting for power. In order to settle the internal conflict, Huan Tian had no choice but to activate the sky shrouding array. As he spoke, Ningyu sighed and muttered, What a pity. I initially wanted to borrow some Saint-grade origin crystals from the Foxman Valley, but it looks like I can only return empty-handed. The gray-robed elder clearly heard Ningyu's muttering. Chapter 1624. Chapter 1624. Chapter 1624. Take away Ningyu's eyes flickered as he said hesitantly, Actually, it's nothing much. I just wanted to come and take a look. Huan Tian isn't here. I advise you to speak the truth. The gray-robed old man chuckled. It's better for everyone. Can you guarantee that you won't kill me? Ningyu pinched the corner of his clothes as he stared at the gray-robed old man and asked nervously, Don't worry. I can swear a heavenly oath that I won't kill you. The gray-robed old man nodded and swore the heavenly Tao oath in front of Ningyu and Xieze. Ning Yu revealed a relieved expression when he saw the gray-clothed old man swear the heavenly Tao oath. Ning Yu slowly exhaled a mouthful of turbid air. His entire person seemed to have relaxed. I came to Foxman Valley to borrow some saint-grade origin crystals from Huentian, Ning Yu said. Still not going to tell me the truth? The corners of the gray-clothed old man's mouth curled upwards. Even his tone turned cold as he spoke. You mumbled earlier that you came to Foxman Valley to borrow saint-grade origin crystals. But I know very well that your goal is not that. I'll give you one last chance. If you don't behave, don't blame me for being impolite. Ning Yu's expression became extremely terrified, as if he had seen a ghost. You want to lie to me? How could it be so simple? Ning Yu's expression gave the gray-robed old man the feeling that he had a card up his sleeve. However, what the gray-clothed elder didn't know was the mantis stalks the cicada, unaware of the oriole behind. In Ning Yu's opinion, he had to take a risk if he wanted to gain the old man's trust. The result made Ning Yu very satisfied. As expected, the gray-robed old man fell for it. Since the gray-robed elder had fallen for it, then everything would be easy. His legs faintly trembling, Ning Yu turned his head to look at the depths of Foxman Valley. Seeing that Huentian had yet to return, he gritted his teeth and said, I'm heading to Foxman Valley this time because Master has asked me to buy a Star Heaven flower from Huentian. What's your master's cultivation? The gray-robed old man's primary goal was not the Starsky flower, but the cultivation of Ning Yu's imaginary master. A half-saint, Ning Yu's face was full of arrogance as he said in a deep voice, Half-saint? The gray-robed old man's heart skipped a beat and his eyes were filled with shock. A half-saint was an existence that surpassed the heavenly supreme realm. In the Pill Formation continent, and even in the heavenly devil realm, experts at the half-saint realm stood at the top of the pyramid. In the absence of sages, semi-sages would reign supreme. Therefore, when Ning Yu said that his master was a semi-sage expert, the gray-clothed old man felt a great deal of pressure. There's no need to worry. We just happened to be able to draw that half-saint to the depths of the saint-grade origin crystal vein. Sensing the old man's nervousness, the pinnacle heavenly sovereign said, When the time comes, we'll activate the array and use 5 pinnacle powerhouses as bait. Then we'll be able to succeed. All right. The gray-robed old man immediately came to a realization when he heard that. The array in the depths of the saint-grade origin crystal vein could even trap a demonic spirit realm sage, let alone a mere half-saint. Thinking of this, the gray-robed old man stared at Ning Yu and asked again, Where is your master? Ning Yu pondered for a moment and replied, I'm not too sure about that. But my master said that as long as I buy the Starsky flower, he'll come looking for me. The gray-robed old man continued, What exactly is the Starsky flower? Why does your master value it so much? I asked my master back then, but he scolded me and told me not to ask what I shouldn't ask, Ning Yu said with a helpless expression. Then did you buy the Starsky flower? The gray-robed old man continued to ask, not giving Ning Yu any chance to catch his breath. No, Huentian wouldn't sell it no matter what. Even if I brought up my master, he wouldn't agree. At the mention of the Starsky flower, Ning Yu immediately became disappointed and sighed. Don't sigh. As long as you follow me, I guarantee that I'll get the Starsky flower for you. The gray-robed old man waved his hand and said, Are you serious? Ning Yu looked at the gray-robed old man suspiciously. His expression was one of disbelief. I won't lie. The gray-robed old man laughed. Senior, as long as you can help me get the Starsky flower, Ning Yu hurriedly said, even stuttering when he spoke. You and I hit it off. How about this? You come with me later. I'll think of a way to help you get the Starsky flower. The gray-robed old man said, Also, don't call me senior. Call me by my real name, Di Shirtian. I'm called Xialin. The one beside me is called Xiaze. Since Di Shirtian introduced himself, Ningyu naturally followed suit. He couldn't use the name Ningyu anymore. After all, Ningyu had a feud with the Emperor Palace and was currently being hunted by them. It was impossible to guarantee that Di Shirtian and the others would recognize him. As for Xiaze, Ningyu had just communicated with him and learned that the name Xiaze was also a pseudonym. Only a few people in the Dan-Qing continent knew about him. Therefore, there was no problem using Xiaze. Whoosh! At that moment, Hu Wentian brought the sky supremes of the Foxman Valley and flew over from the depths of the valley. Ningyu hurriedly turned around and looked. He didn't know if he didn't look, but when he did, he was shocked. There were a total of 10 sky supremes in the Foxman Valley. Moreover, this didn't include Azure Fox and White Fox. After all, Azure Fox and White Fox were protecting Grandmaster Xingyun. Hu Wentian wouldn't be stupid enough to call them over. Very good. Di Shirtian stared at the 12 heavenly sovereigns behind Hu Wentian with a blazing gaze. Di Shirtian wasn't the only one who was excited. The other 3 cultivators in the sky were also very excited. With one more Sky Supremes, the success rate of their plan would increase by a notch. Therefore, when Hu Wentian brought 12 Sky Supremes with him, they were extremely excited. Of course, Di Shirtian's excited expression disappeared in a flash. He quickly returned to normal. Follow me. Di Shirtian didn't waste any time here. He waved his hand and rushed into the depths of the Moling mountain range. Let's go too. Seeing Di Shirtian leave, Hu Wentian didn't stay a second longer. He stomped on the ground and followed closely behind Di Shirtian with the 12 heavenly sovereigns. Since everyone had left, there was naturally no need for Ningyu and Xiaze to stay. After all, there was still a peak Sky Supremes and 2 late-stage Sky Supremes in the sky. Di Shirtian was in front while the 3 cultivators in the sky followed behind. It looked like they were protecting Ningyu, Hu Wentian, and the others, but that wasn't the case. They were completely monitoring them. Ningyu initially wanted to communicate with Hu Wentian, but when he saw the 3 heavenly sovereigns following behind him, he immediately dispelled that thought. Ningyu believed that Hu Wentian would arrange everything properly. After all, this trip to the Saint Grade Yuan crystal mine was fraught with grim possibilities. Furthermore, Hu Wentian brought 12 Sky Supremes with him. Therefore, it was reasonable for Hu Wentian to explain the reason to Guo Liang and the others. Chapter 16:25. Di Shirtian. Swish, swish. In the depths of the Moling mountain range, within a dense forest, several figures flashed by, and the branches of the towering trees swayed in the wind. Without a doubt, these cultivators were none other than Ningyu and the rest who had just left the Foxman Valley. After leaving the Foxman Valley, Ningyu and the rest did not stop at all. Instead, they headed straight for the Saint Grade Yuan crystal mine. As they went deeper, Ningyu's expression grew more and more solemn, because Ningyu discovered that the Yuan qi in the air was getting thinner and thinner. At this rate, it wouldn't be long before the Yuan qi in the air completely disappeared. Did Di Shirtian discover us? Suddenly, Ningyu seemed to have thought of something, and his expression turned solemn. Logically speaking, the Yuan qi in the air around the Saint Grade Yuan crystal mine should be very dense. Why was it that the closer they got to the Saint Grade Yuan crystal mine, the thinner the Yuan qi in the air became? Stop! Just as Ningyu was pondering, Di Shirtian, who was at the front, suddenly stopped. He raised his right hand and said, "There's danger. Everyone hide." As the sound of Di Shirtian's voice faded, his body gradually became illusory as he fused with the air. Buzz! When Ningyu and the rest saw Di Shirtian fuse with the air, their figures flickered and they too dove into the air. In the blink of an eye, including the 12 sky sovereigns that Hu Wentian brought with him, all of them fused with the air and disappeared. Whoosh! Not long after Ningyu and the rest disappeared. The void in the distance suddenly split open, and 3 behemoths emerged from the void. Gulp! Feeling the dense aura from the 3 colossal figures, Ningyu could not help swallowing a mouthful of saliva. Peak Sky Sovereigns. The cultivation of these 3 demonic beasts were all at the peak of the Sky Sovereign realm. The Moling mountain range is indeed the forbidden land of the Pill Formation continent. I can easily see Peak Sky Sovereign demonic beasts here. Ningyu was shocked as he tried to hide his aura for fear of being discovered by the demonic beasts. Although there were pinnacle heavenly sovereigns in their group, they wouldn't have a good ending if they were discovered by the 3 demonic beasts. Hence, not only Ningyu was doing his best to conceal his aura, Di Shirtian and the rest were doing the same. Whoosh! Fortunately, the 3 pinnacle sky supreme realm demonic beasts only stopped for a few seconds before flying off in another direction. It wasn't until 5 minutes after the 3 monsters left that Ningyu and the others appeared from the void. Senior, how far are we from our destination? Ningyu surveyed the surroundings as he asked Di Shirtian. At most half an hour. Di Shirtian replied. Di Shirtian wasn't an indecisive person. After replying to Ningyu's question, he stomped on the ground and transformed into a blur as he sped away. Seeing Di Shirtian rushing out, Ningyu, Hu Wentian, and the rest could only follow closely behind. The interlude of the 3 demonic beasts didn't waste too much of Di Shirtian's time. Half an hour later, Ningyu and the rest stopped in a spacious area. Looking at the spacious area, Ningyu was a little shocked. Honestly speaking, Ningyu didn't expect there to be such a spacious area in the depths of the Moling mountain range. Could it be that the Saint Grade Yuan crystal vein was right under this spacious area? Rumble. At this moment, the ground trembled as a huge crack appeared in Ningyu and Di Shirtian's vision. The Saint Grade Yuan crystal vein is right below. Let's go. Upon seeing the opening, Di Shirtian grabbed onto Ningyu and swiftly dove into the opening. Soon after, Hu Wentian and the other 12 heavenly sovereigns also entered the crack. Rumble. When the last martialist entered the gap, the ground that had originally split open actually began to slowly close up. The area returned to its previous calm. Saint Grade Yuan crystal vein. Inside the crack, Ningyu's gaze landed on the huge words on the ceiling of the cave. Saint Grade Yuan crystal vein. For words were engraved on the ceiling of the cave. It was the Saint Grade Yuan crystal vein that Ningyu spoke of. The distance between us and the cave should be the outermost area of the Saint Grade Yuan crystal vein. Ningyu did his best to calm himself down. Hu Wentian had already explained to him that there were many arrays around the Saint Grade Yuan crystal vein. If they were not careful, they would die without a burial ground. Ningyu wasn't stupid enough to activate those arrays. Shifting his gaze, he looked at Di Shirtian and asked, "Is that the entrance to the Saint Grade Yuan crystal vein?" "That's right. That's the entrance." Di Shirtian nodded his head. "Are you interested in entering with me?" "Of course." An impatient expression appeared on Ningyu's face. However, Ningyu secretly transmitted his voice to Di Shirtian. "Don't forget to obtain the Star Heaven flower for me. Only when I obtain it will my master come over." "No problem." Di Shirtian smiled. "All of you follow behind me. If anyone dares to be disobedient, don't blame me for being impolite." "Sha-sha!" Di Shirtian's feet moved, resembling a snake as he moved through the vast area. From here to the Saint Grade Yuan crystal vein, there was still a long way to go. On this stretch of road, there were all kinds of formations. Ningyu knew this, Hu Wentian knew this, Xie Zhe also knew this. Hence, they followed closely behind Di Shirtian. For every step Di Shirtian took, they followed. For every half step Di Shirtian took, they followed. The more dangerous it was, the more they couldn't panic. If not, if they accidentally activated the arrays, the consequences would be unimaginable. Luckily, Di Shirtian's speed wasn't too slow. Every time Ningyu was about to activate the arrays, he would be able to arrive in time. Just like that, they advanced for a full 10 minutes. With Di Shirtian in the lead, Ningyu, Hu Wentian, and the 12 heavenly sovereigns as support, they finally arrived at the entrance of the Saint Grade Yuan crystal vein. However, at the entrance, Di Shirtian stopped. Stretching out his right hand, he pointed at the entrance and said, "Hu Wentian, you and the 9-tailed demon fox you brought will be the vanguard. Walk at the front." "Why us?" Hu Wentian coldly snorted as he started to argue. "There are no buts. If I want you guys to walk at the front, you guys have to walk at the front." Di Shirtian didn't bother to give Hu Wentian any explanation. He was the person in charge of the Saint Grade Yuan crystal vein. Whoever he wanted to walk at the front, that person had to walk at the front. If not, he would let Hu Wentian and the rest know the consequences. Fine. Although Hu Wentian felt helpless, he could only follow Di Shirtian's instructions. "You, and you, open the path at the front." Hu Wentian casually pointed at 2 Sky Supreme Realm 9-tailed demon foxes and had them take the lead. Shwa, shwa. The 2 heavenly sovereigns didn't dare to disobey Hu Wentian's words. They rapidly rushed out, and in the blink of an eye, appeared at the entrance of the cave. "Why are you still not going in?" Chapter 16:26. Chapter 16:26. Chapter 16:26. Xiao. 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 The 2 heavenly sovereigns stomped on the ground and entered the cave in front of Ningyu and the rest. "Let's go too." Seeing the 2 9-tailed demon foxes entering the cave, Di Shirtian followed closely behind them. Black. The first feeling Ningyu had after entering the cave was darkness. The second feeling was that it was extremely dark. Voila! Luckily, Di Shirtian took out a Saint Grade Yuan crystal from his robes, illuminating the incomparably dark cave. After advancing for roughly 10 minutes, the 2 9-tailed demon foxes at the front abruptly stopped. The reason why they stopped wasn't because they didn't want to continue, but because there were 3 forks in front of them. After a moment of silence, Di Shirtian said, "Hu Wentian, bring the 12 9-tailed demon foxes and take the left path. Xie Lin, you and Xie Zhe take the middle path. As for me, I will take the right path." After hearing Di Shirtian's words, a look of hesitation appeared on Hu Wentian's face. Truthfully speaking, the previous 2 times, Di Shirtian had ignored the left and middle paths. Why did he want him and Ning Yu to take the middle path and the left path? There must be a demon behind this abnormal situation. Hu Wentian didn't want to die here without knowing why. "Di Shirtian, why did you want me to come here?" Hu Wentian coldly asked. "What can it be? Same old rules. There's a wall that's extremely hard to break through. So I wanted you and your tribesmen to help me." Di Shirtian shrugged his shoulders and continued, "I promise you, as long as you help me this time, I will definitely give you the antidote, completely dispelling the black miasma in your body." "Words are useless. I want the antidote now." Hu Wentian had a resolute look on his face, as though he wouldn't enter the left path if Di Shirtian didn't give him the antidote. "Ka-ka." Hu Wentian's actions caused Di Shirtian's expression to turn completely cold. Not only that, a trace of killing intent could be seen on Di Shirtian's face. However, this trace of killing intent was quickly concealed by him. Shwa! With a flick of his wrist, a jade bottle appeared in his hand. Di Shirtian shook the jade bottle in his hand. "The antidote inside can expel half of the black qi in your body." As he spoke, Di Shirtian tossed the jade bottle towards Hu Wentian. "Kacha!" Hu Wentian stretched out his right hand and crushed the jade bottle. Without saying anything further, Hu Wentian swallowed the pill in the jade bottle right in front of Di Shirtian. Not long after the pill entered his mouth, Hu Wentian felt the black gas in his heart begin to rush out. Chi. However, after half of the black gas disappeared, it returned to its original state and did not continue to decrease. But even so, Hu Wentian's fighting strength had reached the middle phase, heavenly sovereign realm. But if Hu Wentian wanted to unleash the strength of a pinnacle heavenly sovereign, he would have to expel the black miasma from his body. Can we go in now? Di Shirtian stared at Hu Wentian and said, I, Di Shirtian, am a man of my words. As long as you can break through that wall, I will definitely give you the remaining antidote. Humph. I hope you keep your word. Hu Wentian coldly snorted and entered the leftmost passage. After Hu Wentian disappeared, the 12 nine-tailed demon foxes behind him also dispersed. Xia Lin, you and your companions will enter the middle passage. I will wait for you on the other side. Di Shirtian pointed at the middle passage as he spoke to Ningyu. But the Starsky flower, Ningyu opened his mouth as he hesitated. Since he wanted to act, he had to make it look real. Ningyu believed that as long as Di Shirtian wanted his half-saint master to come over, he would definitely not kill him. Haha, don't worry. When we reach the end of the passage, I will personally hand the Starsky flower to you. Di Shirtian lightly smiled as he continued. Let's go? If we delay any longer, there might be changes. Okay, let's go. Since Di Shirtian had already spoken to this extent, Ningyu nodded his head in agreement. After that, he and Xie Zhe entered the passageway in the middle. Buzz. Not long after Ningyu and Hu Wentian disappeared, the void suddenly split open and 3 figures appeared. 2 late-stage Sky Supremes and 1 Peak Sky Supremes. Should we activate the formation and refine the 12 nine-tailed demon foxes in the left passage? Di Shirtian hurriedly asked when he saw the Peak Sky Supremes appear. Di Shirtian was only the person in charge of the Saint Grade Yuan crystal mine on the surface. The one in charge of the Saint Grade Yuan crystal mine was the Peak Sky Supremes, Di Feng. Emperor Palace was not as simple as Ningyu and the others thought. It could be said that ever since the Saint Grade Yuan crystal mine was discovered in the Moling mountain range, Emperor Palace had been developing at a terrifying speed. Originally, Emperor Palace, Blood God Palace, and Corpse Sect were forces of the same level. But after such a long period of development, the experts in Emperor Palace were like mushrooms after the rain. The current Emperor Palace, in terms of high-end combat power, was no less than the Sacred Heaven Sect of the Ice Domain, but their mid-range combat power was much weaker than the Sacred Heaven Sect. After all, the Sacred Heaven Sect was the absolute overlord in the Ice Domain. If Emperor Palace wanted to surpass the Ice Domain, the mid-range combat power couldn't be too far apart. We don't need to activate the formation for now. Di Feng shook his head and said, there are 3 more forces outside. Let's go to the formation in the deepest part and wait for all of them to enter the formation before we take action. 3 more groups? Hearing that, Di Shirtian was slightly startled as he asked in confusion, which groups are they? Don't ask what you shouldn't ask. Di Feng said coldly, let's go. Hurry to the deepest formation and set everything up first. Di Feng stomped on the ground and rushed into the rightmost passage. Di Shirtian and the other 2 late-stage Sky Supremes didn't dare to delay. They quickly followed behind and entered the rightmost passage. Rumble. At the same time, outside the cave, outside the Saint Grade Yuan crystal mine, the void trembled. Then a figure with a hunched back appeared. If Ningyu was here, he would definitely realize that the hunched back was none other than the old lady who had devoured Mengquan and the others. The 100-armed devil. There's a formation here. The 100-armed devil didn't rush into the cave immediately. Instead, her eyes became extremely sharp. As a demon spirit realm expert, the 100-armed devil wasn't only powerful, she was also well-versed in formations. She moved her feet and moved left and right in the area. The 100-armed devil's movement technique was very strange. Although she was moving at a fast speed, she didn't touch the formation at all. 3 minutes later, the 100-armed devil easily passed through the formation and appeared at the entrance of the cave. You want to trap me with a mere formation? Wishful thinking. Chapter 16:27. Chapter 16:27 Battle. Buzz. Buzz. Not long after the 100-armed ghost demon disappeared, the space cracked again. Whoosh. 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 This time, 3 figures appeared. Taking a closer look, there were 2 old men and a young woman wearing a bamboo hat. Senior should be imprisoned in the cave. One of the white-haired old men pointed at the entrance of the cave and said, "Let's go. We must save Senior before the 100-armed ghost demon." The white-haired old man moved his feet and was about to rush into the cave. Wait. Before the white-haired old man could move a few steps, the other short and plump old man immediately grabbed his arm and said, "This area is so quiet. There must be a trap. Let me try first." As he spoke, the short and plump old man took out an interspatial pouch. Exerting force from his wrist, the short and plump old man threw the interspatial pouch forward. "Open!" As the short and plump old man roared, the interspatial pouch suddenly cracked open and a burly figure landed on the ground. "Go to the cave!" The short and plump old man formed seals and instructed the burly man. Boom! 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 The burly man walked towards the entrance of the cave step by step, each step landing heavily on the ground. Clearly, the burly man was a puppet. In terms of cultivation, the burly puppet was only a 9th grade Earth Supreme Realm cultivator. However, the material of the puppet was so tough that ordinary heavenly sovereigns wouldn't be able to shatter it. Using this puppet, we'll know if there's any danger ahead. The short and plump old man said with his hands behind his back, "Boom!" The puppet had only taken a dozen steps when it seemed to have triggered some kind of array, causing the ground to cave in with it at the center. "Shit, come back!" Seeing that the puppet was about to be devoured by the ground, the short and plump old man immediately bit his middle finger and began to control the puppet. Rumble. Unfortunately, no matter how the short and plump old man performed the technique, he couldn't contact the puppet. After struggling for a while, the puppet man's body fell into the pit. Crack! 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 The moment the puppet's foot disappeared, the pit gradually closed up and returned to its original state. What's going on? The sudden change caused the white-haired old man's expression to turn extremely ugly. "It's a formation." The short and stout old man's expression was solemn as he said in a low voice, "There should be many formations between here and the cave. If we accidentally touch the formations, the consequences will be unimaginable. Don't tell me that even with our strength, we can't resist the formation?" As matters stood, the white-haired old man calmed down. In terms of formation skills, the short and stout old man was much better than the white-haired old man. Therefore, the white-haired old man was helpless in the face of this distance and could only ask the short and stout old man. "It's hard to say." The pudgy old man frowned slightly and said, "In my opinion, we should consume a few more puppets and let them open the way for us." Without waiting for the white-haired old man to answer, the short and stout old man took out a few more storage bags and threw them into the air. Whoosh! 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 In an instant, the storage pouch shattered and 3 burly puppets descended. Let's follow the burly puppets. The 3 of them should be able to ensure that we reach the entrance of the cave. The short and stout old man moved his legs first and moved forward carefully. The path that the short and stout old man was moving forward was not without reason. He was moving along the footsteps of the burly puppets just now, although the white-haired old man wanted to say something. Seeing that the short and stout old man was already moving forward, he had no choice but to move forward slowly. As for the woman in the bamboo hat, she had no choice but to follow closely behind the white-haired old man. Crack! Not long after, one of the 3 burly puppets in front accidentally touched the formation and was crushed to pieces by the formation. Such a change had a great impact on the white-haired old man and the woman in the bamboo hat. Fortunately, the short and stout old man's words stabilized the morale of the troops. Otherwise, there would have been a problem. We still have 2 more burly puppets. We should be able to reach the entrance of the cave. The short and stout old man kept saying, hoping that the white-haired old man and the woman in the bamboo hat would not be nervous, because they were in the center of the formation. Once the white-haired old man and the woman in the bamboo hat became nervous, it was likely that they would trigger another formation. Crack! They moved forward for a few more minutes. The second puppet did not manage to hold on. It also triggered a formation and was crushed to pieces by the formation. Because the previous few puppets had failed one after another, the short and stout old man was especially careful with the last puppet. He even split a portion of his soul force to open a path in front of him. Finally, hard work pays off. After 10 minutes of hard work, the short and stout old man and the others reached the entrance of the cave. Go in! After standing at the entrance for a full 5 minutes, the short and stout old man decided to go in and take a look. However, the short and stout old man was extremely careful. He would stop every few steps to look around, just in case there was any danger. Roar! Not long after the 3 of them entered the cave, an earth-shattering roar suddenly came from afar. The roar came from afar and appeared in the area in the blink of an eye. Peak Sky Supreme, and there were 3 of them at once. 3 Pinnacle Sky Supreme Realm demonic beasts appeared in the area. If Ningyu and Di Shirtian were here, they would definitely notice that the 3 Peak Sky Supreme demonic beasts were the ones they had encountered not long ago. Master has finally come out of seclusion after 100 years. One of the pinnacle heavenly sovereigns raised an arc on the corner of his lips as he eerily said, "We don't dare to barge in when Master is in seclusion, but when Master comes out, we'll show our might. Don't be rash. Master's cultivation has just begun and is currently in a stable state. We can't be too reckless," the other Peak Sky Supreme demonic beast said. "Remember our mission. Save our 5 companions, and think of a way to obtain the huge Yuan crystal in the deepest part of the Saint Grade Yuan crystal mine. Don't worry, we're very clear about this." The last pinnacle, heavenly sovereign, realm demonic, beast, nodded his head. "But after rescuing our companions and obtaining the Yuan crystals, we can uproot the entire Saint Grade Yuan crystal vein. As long as you can complete the mission, you can do whatever you want with the rest of the time. I won't interfere." The second Peak Sky Supreme Demonic Beast said indifferently. Clearly, the second Peak Sky Supreme Demonic Beast was the leader of the 3 demonic beasts. The other 2 demonic beasts had no choice but to listen to him. Moreover, his cultivation was higher than the other 2 demonic beasts. He wasn't too far away from the half-saint realm. At the very least, he was at the threshold of the half-saint realm. As long as he had a fortuitous encounter, advancing to the half-saint realm shouldn't be a problem. There's a formation in the area in front of the cave. The 2 of you follow me. We'll enter the cave from another direction. The second Peak Sky Supreme Demonic Beast's figure flickered as he flew in another direction. Chapter 1628. Chapter 1628. A Crystal Wall. At the same time, in the passageway where Huwentian was at, Huwentian's face turned ugly when he saw the huge boulder that suddenly appeared in front of him. The passageway was already getting narrower and narrower, and now a huge boulder appeared in the middle of the passageway, completely blocking it. "You guys stay back. I'll think of a way to break the boulder." Taking a deep breath, Huentian waved his hand, signaling the nine-tailed fox beside him to back off. 12 Heavenly Supreme Realm nine-tailed demon foxes were the peak combat power of Foxman Valley. Huentian didn't want them all to die here. Swish! Thus, after the nine-tailed demon foxes retreated, Huentian stomped on the ground, and like a cheetah, he shot forward. Open! Opening his right hand, Huentian slammed his palm onto the boulder. Not good. The moment his palm came into contact with the boulder, Huentian sensed something amiss and hurriedly retreated. However, Huentian's speed was clearly slower by half a beat. The terrifying rebound force rebounded back onto Huentian's palm. Pucci! The huge rebound force caused Huentian to crash heavily onto the ground. His mouth opened wide as he spat out a mouthful of blood. Damn it! Huentian crawled up from the ground with great difficulty, wiping the blood off the corner of his mouth as he cursed inwardly. I knew that old fellow Di Shirtion was up to no good. Everyone rest here. After thinking for a moment, Huentian said, "Wait for me to think of rumble." However, halfway through his words, Huentian's pupils shrank as his heart sank to the bottom, because Huentian discovered that the boulder in front of him was actually starting to roll. The passageway was only so big, and the boulder was moving at such a fast speed. One could imagine that if one was crushed by the boulder, even if they didn't die, they would at least lose a layer of skin. Set up the formation. At this critical moment, Huentian became calm as he roared in a low voice. Voila! As Huentian roared, the 12 Heavenly Supreme nine-tailed demon foxes moved in unison, standing behind Huentian. The first nine-tailed demon fox placed its palm on Huentian's back. The second nine-tailed demon fox placed its palm on the first nine-tailed demon fox's back, and so on. The 12 nine-tailed demon foxes formed a long dragon. Break! With the support of the 12 nine-tailed foxes, Huentian took a deep breath and pushed his right hand forward once more. Compared to the previous palm strike, the might of Huentian's palm strike was several times greater. Generally speaking, as long as the attack power reached a certain degree, it could be completely blown away. As such, Huentian was gambling. He bet that he and the 12 nine-tailed demon foxes could shatter the rock. If they won the bet, they would naturally be unobstructed. If they lost, they would all be wiped out. Bang! Huentian roared madly as his palm came into contact with the rock. As soon as Huentian came into contact with the rock, he felt a terrifying rebound force that was trying to send him flying. Ignite blood essence. Huentian knew that the current situation was very dangerous, so he did not hesitate to ignite his blood essence in order to block the stone and shatter it. Chi-Chi. After burning his blood essence, Huentian's fighting prowess had increased significantly. Kacha! Under the combined attacks of Huentian and the 12 nine-tailed foxes, the massive boulder finally succumbed to the pressure and split into two. Hua! Although the boulder shattered, Huentian and the 12 nine-tailed demon foxes were all blasted away as they fell into the tunnel. Pooh! Piu! 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 The 12 nine-tailed demon foxes, including Huentian, all coughed out a mouthful of fresh blood as their auras plummeted. Rumble! Just when Huentian wanted to rest, his eyes widened as he involuntarily cursed. F***ck me. How the F***ck do you want me to live? Huentian wanted nothing more than to dismember Di Shirtion into 8 pieces. The boulder at the front of the tunnel was destroyed, but at the back of the tunnel another gigantic boulder appeared. Go! Destroying the boulder in front of them exhausted 80% of the yuan qi of Huentian and the 12 nine-tailed demon foxes. Huentian didn't dare to block the boulder at the back of the tunnel. His silhouette flickered as he took the lead, dashing towards the other end of the tunnel. Not only Hu Wentian, the 12 nine-tailed demon foxes didn't dare to be slow as well. All of them unleashed all their strength. In this tunnel, Hu Wentian and the 12 nine-tailed demon foxes were currently fleeing for their lives. In the other tunnel, Ningyu and Xie Zhe were both dumbfounded. The deeper they went, the denser the Yuan Qi became. Not only that, there were also many Saint grade Yuan crystals embedded into the stone walls on both sides of the tunnel. Only fools wouldn't take advantage of this opportunity. Ning, you didn't reject any of them. Along the way, he would take any Saint grade Yuan crystal he saw. In merely 10 minutes, Ningyu had already plucked over 20 Saint grade Yuan crystals from the walls. Other than keeping a few for cultivation, Ningyu gave all the remaining Saint grade Yuan crystals to the sapling. If the sapling wanted to level up, it would require a huge amount of energy. And for the sake of obtaining the golden key from the Starsky flower, the sapling didn't hesitate to destroy its own golden branches. Now that Ningyu had obtained the Saint grade Yuan crystals, he naturally had to give some to the sapling. Ka-ka! The speed at which the sapling devoured the Saint grade Yuan crystal caused Ningyu to be greatly shocked. Ningyu needed a very long time to completely devour a Saint grade Yuan crystal. On the other hand, the sapling only took a few minutes to devour a Saint grade Yuan crystal. Ningyu, just give me a few hundred of these Saint grade Yuan crystals, and I'm confident that I'll be able to reach the 6th grade Earth Supreme realm again. The sapling said to Ningyu as it devoured the Saint grade Yuan crystal, if you give me all the Yuan crystals in an entire Saint grade Yuan crystal vein, I'll be able to reach the Heavenly Supreme realm easily. Ningyu rolled his eyes at the sapling's words and ignored it. There were a few factions in the Saint grade Yuan crystal vein, and there were even demon spirit realm experts imprisoned there. Wanting to obtain all the Saint grade Yuan crystals in the Saint grade Yuan crystal vein was harder than ascending to the heavens. Xie Zhe, did you notice anything? Ning, you didn't forget to chat with Xie Zhe along the way. After all, Xie Zhe's cultivation was at the pinnacle of the Heavenly Supreme Realm. Although he couldn't exert his peak battle strength, his perception was still stronger than Ningyu's. There shouldn't be any danger in this passage. Xie Zhe lowered his voice, but I feel like someone's watching us. That's right, I feel the same way. Ningyu nodded and said, let's try not to make a sound and follow the passage. Russell. Xie Zhe and Ningyu's guess was right. Everything they did in the passageway, including the Saint grade Yuan crystals on the walls, was seen by Di Shirtian and Di Feng. In a secret chamber in the deepest part of the Saint grade Yuan crystal vein, Di Shirtian, Di Feng, and 2 other late Heavenly Supreme Realm experts were all standing. On the wall in front of them, there was a square crystal hanging across the wall. The crystal was divided into 2 parts. The first part was the situation in Hu Wentian's passage. The second part was the situation in Ningyu and Xie Zhe's passage. Chapter 1629. Chapter 1629. The Final Formation. Xia Lin and Xie Zhe shouldn't have any problems. Di Feng looked at the second part of the crystal for a moment before turning to the first part. He said, Hu Wentian and the 12 nine-tailed demon foxes, stay behind. Stay behind? Hearing this, Di Shirtan was slightly startled as he asked in bewilderment, according to the agreement, shouldn't they all die in the passageway? The reason why Di Shirtian was bewildered was because they had already discussed this earlier. They would activate the formation in the tunnel and let Hu Wentian and the 12 nine-tailed demon foxes die in the tunnel. Leave the formation in the tunnel for another group of people. The corner of Di Feng's lips curled into a smile as he said sinisterly, lure Hu Wentian and the 12 nine-tailed demon foxes into the final formation. This, all right. Di Shirtian wanted to say something, but he could only nod and leave the secret room when he saw Di Feng's gaze. The two of you bring all the saint grade origin crystals that have been mined. After Di Shirtian left, Di Feng said to the two late heavenly supremes, also, tell those who are mining the saint-grade origin crystals to speed up. Yes, the two late-stage sky supremes nodded at the same time and left the room one after the other. Success or failure depends on this. After everyone left, Di Feng took a deep breath and his face turned solemn. Since the discovery of the saint-grade origin crystal mine, the Emperor Palace had been using the saint-grade origin crystal mine as the center to carry out a secret and grand project. As long as the project was completed, the Emperor Palace would become the true overlord of the Sky Demon region. By then, the Emperor Palace would be able to trample over the entire Sky Demon region easily. Of course, everything was based on the successful completion of this project. Go and make some preparations. Di Feng's body flickered and gradually became illusory. In the blink of an eye, he disappeared. Rumble. In the tunnel where Hu Wentian was. The huge rock that was chasing Hu Wentian and the rest suddenly stopped. A crack appeared on the ground, and the huge rock fell into the crack and disappeared. What's going on? Hu Wentian and the 12 nine-tailed demon foxes were shocked by the sudden change. They were about to be crushed by the rock. Why did the rock suddenly disappear? Crack! Ling Hu Wentian and the others were still in shock. As soon as the stone behind them disappeared, another stone appeared in front of them. However, it was different this time. This time, a door appeared beside the rock. Creak! Moreover, the door was still open. Go in. Hu Wentian was not an indecisive person. He didn't think too much and immediately decided to enter the room. In any case, Hu Wentian had already figured out. If Di Shirtian wanted him dead, he had already died countless times. After all, there was the black qi within his body. As long as Di Shirtian controlled the black qi, he would undoubtedly die. Since Di Shirtian didn't kill him, it meant that Di Shirtian didn't want to kill him. Swish, swish, swish. Hu Wentian led the 12 nine-tailed demon foxes into the room in front of the stone. Creak! The moment Hu Wentian and the others stepped into the room, the door closed behind them. Everyone follow me closely. Since he had decided to enter the room, Hu Wentian would not back down. He released his perception and carefully moved forward. They advanced for half an hour. The road ahead suddenly opened up. What is this place? Hu Wentian discovered. At this moment, he was no longer in the room, but in a spacious area. There were 4 walls in all directions, blocking off all paths of retreat. Above them, there was an invisible net that was firmly guarding them. We're surrounded. Hu Wentian's expression turned extremely unsightly. The few times he came here with Di Shirtian, he had never been to this place. Now that he was here, his heart sank to the bottom. Being surrounded wasn't what Hu Wentian was worried about. What he was worried about was the 5 terrifying auras that had appeared in the surroundings. Peak Heavenly Supreme. Without a doubt, the 5 terrifying auras were the same peak-level Heavenly Supreme that Hu Wentian had sensed previously. Creak! Right at this moment, a crack appeared on the wall to the east, and 2 figures appeared. Ningyu and Xiaze. These 2 figures were none other than Ningyu and Xiaze. Senior, Hu, you not good. Upon seeing Hu Wentian, Ningyu wanted to ask, but his heart skipped a beat. 5 peak-level Heavenly Supreme auras appeared at the same time. Sensing the 5 terrifying auras, Ningyu's expression turned even uglier than Hu Wentian's. However, Ningyu's reaction was extremely fast, and he calmed down in the blink of an eye. From the situation in the tunnel, Di Shirtian didn't harm him. Evidently, Di Shirtian wanted to lure his master here. He, there's nothing bad about it. I'm sure you've already discovered something. Space split apart as a faint laughter entered the ears of Ningyu and Huentian. Soon after, Di Shirtian appeared. What do you mean by this? Seeing Di Shirtian's appearance, Huentian coldly snorted. You lured me here, but didn't say anything. Are you toying with me? Don't be angry. How could I possibly be toying with you? Di Shirtian waved his hands. Take out the Star Heaven flower. Humph. Why should I give it to you? Huentian coldly snorted. Swish. However, just as Huentian snorted, a gigantic elemental energy chain appeared beside him. The chain arced through the air, ruthlessly slamming into Huentian's chest. Pa! The immense force sent Huentian crashing into the wall. Don't refuse a toast only to be forced to drink a forfeit. Since I told you to hand over the Star Heaven flower, obediently hand it over. Di Shirtian coldly spoke. Show! Show! Seeing Huentian being slammed by the elemental energy chain, the two nine-tailed demon foxes simultaneously dashed towards Di Shirtian, courting death. Di Shirtian made a grabbing motion in the air as two elemental energy chains appeared. Puchi! Puchi! The elemental energy chains swung through the air, unavoidable as they slammed into the necks of the two nine-tailed demon foxes. Di Shirtian's attacks were ruthless, not holding back in the slightest. In an instant, the two nine-tailed demon foxes died miserably under the elemental energy chains. After casually slapping the two nine-tailed demon foxes to death, Di Shirtian once again swung the elemental energy chains in his hands, preparing to attack again. Wait, I'll pass the Star Heaven flower to you. Seeing that Di Shirtian still wanted to attack, Huentian hurriedly took out the Star Heaven flower from his robes and tossed it over to Di Shirtian. Catch! Di Shirtian didn't even bother to look at the Star Heaven flower. With a flick of the elemental energy chains, the Star Heaven flower flew towards Ningyu. Pa! Ningyu stretched out his right hand, firmly grasping the Star Heaven flower in his palm. I've already helped you obtain the Star Heaven flower. Can you call your master over now? Chapter 1630. Transfiguration. Yu's heart thumped. Although he knew what Di Shirtian was thinking, Ningyu was still a little taken aback when he heard it from Di Shirtian's mouth. From Di Shirtian's expression, Ningyu could see the calmness and confidence in Di Shirtian. That was to say, Di Shirtian had a way to deal with a half-saint expert. Looks like I can't let Guoliang take the risk. Ningyu thought to himself. Originally, Ningyu planned to let Grandmaster Xingyun and Guoliang come to the Saint-grade Origin Crystal Vein after Grandmaster Xingyun finished refining the elixir. Now it seemed that the situation might be a little irresponsible. Even if Guoliang came, he wouldn't be able to deal with Di Shirtian or the martial artist behind him. What? Is there a problem? The expression of hesitation on Ningyu's face was completely seen by Di Shirtian. Furrowing his brows, Di Shirtian threatened, Your fate is in my hands. If your master doesn't come over, I can only apologize to you. No problem, Ningyu hurriedly said. It's just that I don't know where master is. He might only come over after a few days. One day. Di Shirtian thought for a moment before stretching out a finger. From now on, I'll give you a day's time. After a day, I hope to see your master. If not, you should know the consequences. Leaving behind these words, Di Shirtian tore through space and vanished from sight. After Di Shirtian disappeared, the 5 pinnacle heavenly supremes, auras, also disappeared. What now? 10 minutes after Di Shirtian disappeared, Huentian carefully transmitted his voice to Ningyu. You said that you have a way to deal with 5 pinnacle heavenly sovereigns. What is it? 5 Pinnacle Sky Supremes don't mean that there are 5 Pinnacle Sky Supremes. Ning Yu took out the Star Heaven flower and placed it in his hand. He casually fiddled with the Star Heaven flower as he transmitted his voice. Ning Yu was not as rash as Hu Wentian. In order to not attract Di Shirtian's attention, he had to pretend to contact his master. In the past 10 minutes, Ning Yu had carefully probed his surroundings. After 10 minutes of probing, Ning Yu was surprised to find that he was in a huge array formation. This wide area was right in the middle of the formation. After discovering it was a formation, Ning Yu could basically conclude that Di Shirtian wanted to lure his master here, and then activate the formation to refine all of them. The news made Ning Yu's expression turn ugly. But what made Ning Yu feel gratified was that the 5 Pinnacle Heavenly Sovereigns' auras were just primordial spirits, not Pinnacle Heavenly Sovereigns. False bravado. Evidently, Di Shirtian had used the aura of 5 Pinnacle Heavenly Sovereigns to intimidate Ning Yu and Hu Wentian. You're saying that there aren't 5 Pinnacle Heavenly Sovereigns in the Saint Grade Origin crystal vein? Hu Wentian's heart jolted as he immediately asked. That's right. Ning Yu nodded his head lightly and said, You and the remaining 10 nine-tailed demon foxes. Try your best to find an exit. Divert their attention. No problem. Hu Wentian could only choose to believe in Ning Yu. He and the remaining 10 nine-tailed demon foxes moved around, touching left and right. They even attacked the walls with spells, trying to find an exit. How worrisome. As expected, Hu Wentian and the rest's actions made Di Shirtian's face turn ugly. Originally, Di Shirtian wanted to see how Ning Yu was going to contact his master. After the commotion from Hu Wentian and the rest, Di Shirtian decided to help Imperial Peak and lure the other 3 forces over. Okay, Di Shirtian disappeared. The rock that was pressing down on Ning Yu's heart also disappeared. Ning Yu threw the starry sky flower into a storage ring and got the sapling to break it open and take out the golden key. After that, Ning Yu contacted Hu Wentian and asked directly, Tell me, what's the use of the golden key in the starry sky flower? This! Hearing Ning Yu's words, Hu Wentian hesitated for a while before he gritted his teeth and said, Di Shirtian and the rest have a crystal coffin. I checked the keyhole on the coffin, and it matches the golden key in the starry sky flower. Crystal coffin? Keyhole? Ning Yu's heart was in turmoil. Now, Ning Yu already knew that Di Shirtian and the rest were planning a huge conspiracy with the Saint Grade Origin crystal vein as the center. Hu Wentian said that he saw the crystal coffin and there was a high possibility that a demon spirit realm expert was imprisoned here. There were only 2 possibilities. First, the one lying in the crystal coffin was a peerless expert of the Emperor Palace, a half-sage, or even a sage-level expert. Second, the demon spirit realm expert was imprisoned in the crystal coffin. Regardless of which possibility it was, Ning Yu felt that this matter was extremely thorny. The golden key must not be obtained by Di Shirtian. It's out. At this moment, the sapling used the Saint Grade Yuan crystal to retrieve the golden key from the starry sky flower. Who? After retrieving the golden key, the sapling heaved a sigh of relief, looking a little dispirited. In order to retrieve the golden key, the sapling had expended a lot of its energy and almost dropped its cultivation by another level. Hu Wentian, conserve your strength first. Ning Yu took out a few pieces of Saint Grade Yuan crystal and threw them to Hu Wentian before communicating with the sapling. Ning Yu had to know what the golden key was. From Ning Yu's point of view, the sapling definitely knew more than Hu Wentian. There was no better way to ask the sapling. Sapling, tell me honestly, what is the golden key? Ning Yu said in a deep voice with a solemn expression. I can't hide it anymore, so there's no harm in telling you. I can sense a trace of the world tree branch's aura from the golden key. The sapling stretched out a branch and wrapped it around the golden key. The golden key should be very close to the World Tree Branch. I want to use the golden key to find the World Tree Branch. The World Tree Branch. Ning Yu's eyes widened, and a look of shock appeared in his eyes. There were a few ways for the sapling to increase its strength. The first method required a large amount of energy, and the second method was to find the World Tree Branch and devour it. The reason why the sapling could reach the 5th grade Earth Sovereign Realm was because it continuously devoured the World Tree Branch. If the sapling relied on energy to level up, it would require a large amount of energy. I can sense that as long as I can obtain the World Tree Branch, I'll be able to raise my cultivation to the Heavenly Supreme Realm and transform. The sapling's words were filled with excitement. Transform. Ning Yu's eyes narrowed as he exclaimed. In fact, Ning Yu was even more excited than the sapling. Once the sapling could transform, its strength would soar to a whole new level. Furthermore, the sapling was unique in that it had a lot of knowledge. After all, the cultivators who were qualified to gain enlightenment under the World Tree were at least heavenly sovereigns, and some were even heavenly sages. Chapter 1631. Chapter 1631. Chapter 1631 Arrive. I'll leave the golden key to you for safekeeping. Ning Yu did not let his excitement get to his head. Although the sapling's strength would increase greatly after transforming, it still needed to transform first. Now that they were trapped in this formation, there was no way for them to leave in a short period of time. If he couldn't leave the formation, then everything would be in vain. Therefore, Ning Yu decided to let the sapling carry the golden key and hide it in the storage ring until they left the spell formation. Ning Yu could basically conclude that the purpose of Di Shirtian's formation wasn't as simple as trapping him and Huentian. If that was the case, Di Shirtian would have made his move long ago. There was no need for him to do so. No problem, the sapling replied, and then fell silent. The sapling had also heard Huentian's words clearly. The sapling definitely wouldn't leave the storage ring before it saw the crystal coffin. I hope the golden arowana fish king and the others don't come over. After talking to the sapling, Ning Yu could not help but look in the direction of Foxman Valley. According to their prior agreement, as long as Grandmaster Xing Yin refined 10 batches of pills, the golden arowana fish king and the others would rush over at full speed. In the beginning, Ning Yu had not thought it through. He had thought that with Master Zhao and Guoliang around, they would definitely be able to enter the depths of the Saint Grade crystal mine. Grandmaster Zhao was responsible for breaking the formation, while Guoliang was responsible for dealing with Di, Shirtian, and the rest. But now, it seemed that the agreement back then was clearly a little childish. Not to mention whether Guoliang could display the combat strength of a half-step saint. Even if he could display the combat strength of a half-step saint, he would still die if he broke into this formation. Because the formation Di Shirtian had set up could even trap a half-step saint expert. The only plan now was for Guoliang to secretly bring Grandmaster Zhao here. After that, Grandmaster Zhao would break the formation while Guoliang would block Di Shirtian. Of course, the possibility of that happening was extremely small and could basically be ignored. After all, this formation was located in the deepest part of the Saint Grade Yuan crystal mine. Without the help of Di Shirtian and the rest, there was no way to get here. Someone's here. However, just as Ning Yu was secretly anxious, his expression suddenly changed, and he hurriedly retreated. Creak! After taking a few steps back, the stone wall opposite Ning Yu slowly opened, and a figure flew out from it. Hundred-handed devil! Ning Yu couldn't help but cry out when he saw the figure that suddenly appeared. He was right. The cultivator who flew out of the stone wall was none other than the old woman who had swallowed Meng Quan and the others, the 100-handed demon. Voila! When Ning Yu saw the 100-armed devil, the 100-armed devil naturally saw Ning Yu as well. With a flick of his wrist, the 100-armed ghost demon summoned the small world and held it in his right palm. He said in a deep voice, "You can wear out iron shoes in a fruitless search, only to find it by chance. Let's see where you can run to this time. Sapling, can you still control the small world? Why is my connection with the small world becoming weaker and weaker?" Ning Yu didn't talk to the 100-armed devil. Instead, he secretly contacted the sapling. The reason why Ning Yu and the sapling returned the small world to the 100-armed devil was so that the next time they met, they could use the small world to counter the 100-armed devil. But now, Ning Yu felt that his connection with the small world was getting weaker and weaker. This feeling seemed to indicate that the 100-armed devil had found some clues. Ha ha ha! Before the sapling could answer Ning Yu, the 100-armed devil laughed wildly and said, "You think I don't know that you've done something to the small world? Now, let's see how you're going to take the small world from my hands." The 100-armed devil dragged a nearly transparent crystal ball in his hand. Obviously, the small world was stored in the crystal ball by the 100-armed devil. "So you know everything." Ning Yu's expression was ugly, and he even revealed a look of fear. "What do you want? Say it." The 100-armed devil raised his eyebrows and stared at Ning Yu with interest. "I don't want anything. I just want to swallow all of you and leave this damn place." Whoosh! As the 100-armed devil's voice fell, Huan Tian and the 10 nine-tailed foxes surrounded her tightly. The 100-armed devil's cultivation was at the late heavenly supreme realm. Although it didn't seem very high, Huan Tian's strength was only half of his peak or even lower due to the black gas in his body. Being surrounded by Huan Tian in this state, the 100-armed devil did not panic at all. In fact, he even said sinisterly, "I advise you not to make an enemy out of me. Otherwise, I'll let you know the meaning of cruelty." Swish! As he spoke, the 100-armed devil flicked his wrist and threw the crystal ball into the air. The 100-armed devil chanted an incantation, wanting to display the small world. Within the small world, the 100-armed devil was the absolute ruler. Therefore, the 100-armed devil wanted to use the small world to deal with Huan Tian and the others. This way, it could save her a lot of unnecessary trouble. However, the 100-armed devil finished chanting, but the crystal ball did not show any signs of cracking. If the crystal ball didn't crack, it meant that the small world couldn't be displayed, and it couldn't trap Huan Tian and Ning Yu inside. What's going on? The 100-armed devil was puzzled. She couldn't figure out what went wrong. Logically speaking, she had already gotten rid of Ning Yu's soul force and primordial spirit in the small world. So why couldn't she control the small world? Could it be that Ning Yu still had some other trump card? Thinking about it, the 100-armed devil's face turned cold as he yelled at Ning Yu, "Speak! What did you do to the small world?" "Nothing," Ning Yu shrugged and said. "What does it have to do with me that you can't control the small world?" "Arg! Die!" The 100-armed devil went berserk and let out a hysterical roar. She thought that she had controlled the small world. But who would have thought that everything was still under Ning Yu's control? If it was anyone else, they would have exploded in anger. After the roar, the 100-armed devil's figure flashed and rushed toward Ning Yu. Whoosh! However, before the 100-armed devil could reach Ning Yu, he was stopped by Huan Tian and the 10 nine-tailed demon foxes. Rumble! Immediately, a great battle broke out in this area. Huan Tian and the 10 nine-tailed demon foxes had a terrifying combat power. For a moment, the 100-armed devil and the 100-armed demon foxes were evenly matched. "Sapling, are you able to contact the small world or not?" Seeing that the battle between the 100-armed devil and Huan Tian was getting more and more intense, Ning Yu hurriedly contacted the sapling and sounded very anxious. Don't worry. As long as I want to, I can take back the small world at any time, the sapling replied. But now is not the time to rush it. Why? Ning Yu was puzzled. Good steel is used on the blade. You will know in a moment. Chapter 1632. A Chaotic Battle. If you don't tell me, I won't help you find the crystal coffin. Ning Yu said angrily. There was a way to deal with the 100-armed demon, but the sapling insisted on messing around. After all, the 100-armed demon was extremely powerful. It would be bad if Hu Wentian and the others died. I'll tell you, all right? The sapling had no choice but to say, even if we find the crystal coffin and open it with the golden key, we won't be able to obtain the world tree branch inside. We have to use the small world. Could it be that the world tree branch inside the crystal coffin is alive? Ning Yu's heart trembled. You can say that. The sapling did not hide anything this time. Actually, I'm thinking of throwing the crystal coffin into the small world, then the small world into the spatial ring, and the spatial ring into the Tower of Yuzu. With these 3 layers of protection, we should be able to obtain the world tree branch inside the crystal coffin. Ning Yu rolled his eyes when he heard that. Was there a need for that? If even the spatial ring and the Tower of Yuzu couldn't control the crystal coffin, then even a small world would be useless. Quick, control the small world and defeat the 100-armed demon. Ning Yu said, we have a lot of enemies to deal with. Let's get rid of each one. Don't think of any unscrupulous methods. All right. The sapling agreed and began to control the small world inside the crystal ball. Crack! Under the control of the sapling, the crystal ball suddenly cracked open, and the small world inside spread toward the 100-armed demon. Shit! The 100-armed demon was indeed a late-stage, heavenly supreme, cultivator of the demon's spirit realm. The moment the small world opened, she immediately sensed something amiss and retreated. However, the area was only so big. The 100-armed demon only took a few steps back before her back was against the stone wall. Creak! Just as the small world was about to suck the 100-armed demon in, a sudden change occurred. The wall behind the 100-armed demon suddenly cracked open, and 3 figures dashed into it. Come back! This change not only scared the 100-armed ghost demon into retreating, but even Ning Yu's expression changed greatly. He hurriedly ordered the sapling to return to the small world. Without knowing if the other party was a friend or foe, Ning Yu did not want to take the risk. Xiao! The sapling was not a hothead. As soon as Ning Yu said that, he controlled the small world and charged towards Ning Yu. Go in! Ning Yu reacted quickly, and he hurriedly opened his storage ring to allow his miniature world to enter it. Ning, you didn't have to worry about the sapling in his storage ring. Whoosh! 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 After keeping the miniature world, Ning Yu stared at the 3 figures rushing out of the stone wall with a grave expression. Of the 3 figures in front of him, one was a white-haired old man, another was a short and fat old man, and the last one was a woman wearing a bamboo hat. Ning Yu did not pay much attention to the woman wearing the bamboo hat, because her cultivation was too low to be feared. As for the other 2, Ning Yu found them tricky. Mid-Heavenly Supreme, the white-haired old man and the short and fat old man were both Mid-Heavenly Supreme. From the aura they emitted, Ning Yu could basically conclude that they were only 1 step away from the late Heavenly Supreme. 100-armed ghost demon, I didn't expect to see you here. The white-haired old man's gaze swept across the area for a while, then fell on the 100-armed ghost demon, and he said sinisterly, You left ahead of us, but you still failed to rescue Senior. Aren't you too useless? Wrong. The short and fat old man waved his hand and said, Not useless, but extremely useless. Crack, crack. The 100-armed ghost demon was a little relieved to hear the first half of the short and fat old man's words. But when she heard the second half, she clenched her fists and said coldly, "No matter how useless I am, I'm still stronger than the two of you. You're already so old, but you've only reached the mid-heavenly supreme. Have you been cultivating for so many years? You're courting death." The white-haired old man and the short and fat old man said in unison, seemingly intending to fight the 100-armed ghost demon. "Let's fight. It's best if we fight." Seeing that the white-haired old man and the 100-armed ghost demon were in conflict, Ning Yu's worry eased a little. If the 100-armed ghost demon and the white-haired old man joined hands, the consequences would be unimaginable. The small world could deal with the 100-armed ghost demon, but that was because the 100-armed ghost demon had left too much soul force in the small world. Against the small world, the 100-armed ghost demon couldn't put up much resistance. The white-haired old man and the short and fat old man were different. The small world alone couldn't pose much of a threat to them. We're all in the demon spirit realm. Why don't we join hands and get rid of them first? Suddenly, the 100-armed ghost demon's killing intent vanished, and he began discussing cooperation with the white-haired old man and the others. Get rid of them? Hearing the 100-armed ghost demon's words, the white-haired old man and the short and fat old man were stunned. They pointed at Huwentian's group and said, "An injured pinnacle heavenly supreme and 10 initial phase heavenly supreme 9-tailed demonic foxes. Not a weak force." What about the other two? The 100-armed ghost demon pointed at Ning Yu and Xie Zhe. "After we deal with them, I'll leave all the 9-tailed demonic foxes to you. I only want those two pieces of trash." The white-haired old man and the short and fat old man were stunned. They had no idea what the 100-armed ghost demon was planning. He didn't want the 9-tailed demonic fox in the heavenly supreme realm, but he insisted on 2 pieces of trash in the earth supreme realm. "That's right. I only want those 2 pieces of trash." The 100-armed ghost demon nodded. "Forget it. Up to you. If you want trash, we'll give them to you when the time comes." The white-haired old man shrugged. "The 2 of us will deal with the 9-tailed demonic fox. You deal with those 2. Swish, swish. As they spoke, the white-haired old man and the short and fat old man charged at Huwentian's group. Damn it! Seeing the white-haired old man and the short and fat old man fighting, the 100-armed ghost demon was so angry that he wanted to kill them. How could she deal with Ning Yu and Xie Zhe? The small world was still in Ning Yu's hands. As long as Ning Yu activated the small world, she wouldn't be able to resist. "I heard that you want to kill us 2 pieces of trash." Ning Yu glanced at the other side of the battlefield before his gaze fell on the 100-armed ghost demon. "We're standing right here. You can come and kill us if you want. Don't get cocky." The 100-armed ghost demon said coldly, "If I don't kill you, you won't dare to kill me." "You're right. We don't dare to kill you." Ning Yu nodded. "But we can use the small world as bait and let those 2 old men act on our behalf. They're in the demon's spirit realm. Do you think they'll believe you?" The 100-armed ghost demon sneered. "In the face of absolute benefits, they have no choice but to believe me." Chapter 1633. Whipping, they'll kill you and take away all the saint grade origin crystals you have. The 100-armed demon shrugged and said, "As long as you say it, they will do it. I can guarantee you that." "Hee. Looks like you're not that stupid after all." Ning Yu let out a smile and said, "Let's make a deal. You and Huwentian will team up and kill those 2 old men, and I will swear an oath to the heavens that I will not attack you within 3 days. You want to make a deal with me? No problem, but give me back the miniature world first." The 100-armed demon's heart skipped a beat before she said, The 100-armed demon was not an idiot. She would definitely be able to see through Ning Yu's obvious scheme. The sandpiper and clam fight, and the fisherman reaps the benefits. If she were to fight the white-haired old man, Ning Yu would most likely turn on her as soon as the battle ended. No problem. Ning Yu did not reject the 100-armed demon's request. He took out a storage bag from his summer ring and shook it in his hand. The miniature world is inside this storage bag. Once you swear an oath to the heavens, I will give it to you immediately. Are you kidding me? How would I know if there's a miniature? The 100-armed demon said coldly. However, the 100-armed demon's voice came to a halt before she could finish her sentence, because the 100-armed demon could indeed see the miniature world inside the storage bag. Does he really want to return the miniature world to me? The 100-armed demon's eyes locked onto the storage bag and asked in confusion, "What's your decision?" Ning Yu shook the storage bag again and asked, "I've changed my mind. Open the miniature world. I want to withdraw my force of soul from the miniature world." The 100-armed demon pondered for a moment before she said in a deep voice, "I'm not lying to you this time. Once I withdraw my force of soul, I will swear an oath to the heavens and help you deal with those 2 old men." "As you wish." Ning Yu did not reject the 100-armed demon's offer. He secretly contacted the sapling and asked it to release its control over the miniature world. Xiao! As soon as the sapling released its control over the small world, the 100-armed devil took back the soul power that was left in the small world. Who? Withdrawing his soul power, the 100-armed devil showed a relieved expression. It didn't matter if she lost the small world, as long as she didn't let Ning Yu get hold of it. "Now, can we join forces with Hu Wentian to deal with those 2 old men?" Ning Yu's voice was transmitted to the 100-armed devil's ears. "After this is done, one for each of us." "All right." The 100-armed devil stepped on the ground with his right foot and was the first to join the battle. "What the hell are you doing?" The white-haired old man and the short and fat old man had been suppressing Hu Wentian and the others to the point where they could hardly breathe, leaving them no room to retaliate at all. But with the addition of the 100-armed devil, Hu Wentian and the rest were completely freed. The 100-armed devil dealt with the white-haired old man, while Hu Wentian brought 10 Sky Supreme 9-tailed demonic foxes to deal with the short and fat old man. Seeing that the feast that was in his hands was ruined by the 100-armed devil, the white-haired old man immediately reprimanded, "We've worked so hard to deal with the 9-tailed demonic foxes for you, and not only are you not grateful to us, you even want to make us your enemy. In the face of absolute benefits, why should I be grateful to you?" The 100-armed devil retorted, "With my strength, I can only suppress one of you and the short and fat old man. If the 2 of you join forces, I will die without a burial. But the 9-tailed demonic foxes and the rest are different. Even if they join forces, they won't be able to suppress me completely." Since the 100-armed demonic devil had put it this way, the white-haired old man and the short and fat old man finally understood. After understanding the situation, the white-haired old man wished he could chop the 100-armed devil into pieces. If he had known this would happen, he wouldn't have recklessly dealt with Hu Wentian and the rest. If he had joined forces with Hu Wentian and the rest to deal with the 100-armed devil, the 2 of them would definitely be the ones to benefit in the end. But it was too late to say anything now. The white-haired old man could only fight the 100-armed devil with all his might, hoping that he could severely injure the 100-armed devil. The white-haired old man still held onto a glimmer of hope. As long as the short and fat old man could kill Hu Wentian and the rest, he would have a chance of survival. In the face of reality, ideals were just ideals. 10 minutes passed. Under the powerful attacks of Hu Wentian and the 10 9-tailed demonic foxes, the short and fat old man was careless and was hit in the chest, sending his body flying. "Pung! Pucci!" crashing heavily into the stone wall. The short and fat old man spat out a mouthful of blood. His aura fell to rock bottom. No. Seeing that the short and fat old man was defeated, the white-haired old man raised his head and shouted, "You dare to be distracted while fighting me? I think you must be tired of living." The white-haired old man's momentary daze cost him his blood. The 100-armed devil seized the opportunity and punched the old man in the chest, sending him flying and crashing heavily into the stone wall on the other side. The short and fat old man and the white-haired old man were sitting on the ground, one on the left and the other on the right. I want the white-haired old man. The 100-armed devil glanced at Ning Yu coldly and walked toward the white-haired old man. "What are you trying to do?" Looking at the 100-armed devil that was approaching him, the white-haired old man shouted, "We are both in the devil spirit realm. If you dare to devour me, my family will definitely not let you off." Noisy! The 100-armed devil kicked the white-haired old man's head. The huge force made the white-haired old man dizzy and see stars. Die! Since the 100-armed devil had decided to attack, she would not hold back. She waved her hands continuously, and in an instant, illusory palm images appeared. Pa, pa, pa! Although they were illusory palm images, each of them landed a solid blow on the white-haired old man's face. Not long after, the white-haired old man's head was beaten into a pig's head. Devour! After beating the white-haired old man into a pig's head, the 100-armed devil quickly used her trump card to devour the white-haired old man. Voila! However, just when the 100-armed devil was about to devour the white-haired old man, a sudden change occurred. The void suddenly split open, and a waist-thick yuan chi chain suddenly appeared and fiercely whipped toward the 100-armed devil. Not good. This change obviously shocked the 100-armed devil. With no time to think, the 100-armed devil hurriedly retreated, trying to dodge the waist-thick yuan chi chain. The 100-armed devil had a good idea, but in reality she was half a beat too slow. Pa! The yuan chi chain was very fast, and in the blink of an eye, it had whipped the 100-armed devil's face. A crisp sound rang out. A thin and long bloody mark appeared on the 100-armed devil's face. As for the 100-armed devil, she was whipped and flew backward, falling beside the white-haired old man. Seeing that the 100-armed devil was whipped by the yuan chi chain, Ningyu hurriedly stopped devouring the short and fat old man. One could imagine that if Ningyu dared to continue devouring the short and fat old man, the yuan chi chain would definitely whip him. Who is it? Chapter 1634. Chapter 1634. Chapter 1634 appear at the Enpa. Just as the 100-armed devil shouted, the essence chi chain appeared again and whipped his other cheek. The burning sensation on his face caused the 100-armed devil's expression to turn ugly. He hadn't even seen the enemy's face, but there were already 2 bloody scars on his face. Anyone in his position would be furious. However, the 100-armed devil's irritation only lasted for a short while before he returned to normal. Damn it! At this point, the 100-armed devil had already recognized the reality. The more he jumped, the more tragic and miserable his ending would be. Voila! Perhaps it was because the 100-armed devil had become obedient, the essence chi chain directly melted into the void and disappeared. Only when the essence chi chains disappeared did the 100-handed devil let out a long sigh of relief. To be honest, the pressure from the essence chi chains on the 100-armed ghost demon was too great. It was so great that the 100-armed ghost demon didn't even dare to let out a fart. It's time to fulfill my promise. After waiting for a while and making sure that the vitality chain wouldn't appear, the 100-armed devil's mind became active again. She moved closer to Ningyu and said in a low voice, "Give me the small world." "My apologies." Ningyu shrugged and said indifferently, "I won't give you the small world before you kill the white-haired old man." "You." The 100-armed ghost demon clenched his fists tightly. He couldn't wait to kill Ningyu. But now, the 100-armed devil was very calm. He was not impulsive at all. If he rashly attacked and killed Ningyu, it was very likely that he would attract the vitality chains again. The 100-armed devil did not want to experience the might of the essence Qi chain a second time. Since they were trapped in this area, as long as Ningyu did not leave with the small world, everything would be fine. Kacha! At this moment, the stone wall near the 100-armed devil suddenly caved in. Damn it! Seeing that the stone wall had caved in, the 100-armed devil hurriedly retreated. Shio! 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 Just as the 100-armed devil took a few steps back, 3 figures dashed out from the sunken stone wall. I can't believe it. As soon as the 3 figures appeared, apart from the 100-armed devil, even Ningyu and Hu Wentian couldn't help but curse. Pinnacle Heavenly Supreme. 3 Pinnacle Sky Supreme Realm Cultivators. No, to be precise, it should be 3 Pinnacle Sky Supreme Realm Demonic Beasts. Although the 3 figures were in human form, Ningyu and the 100-armed devil knew very well that these 3 figures were actually demonic beasts. A Pinnacle Sky Supreme Demonic Beast was extremely powerful. The combined strength of these 3 figures could even rival a half-saint realm human. What is this place? 3 figures, 2 tall and 1 short. The first to speak was the shortest figure. His gaze first swept across the 100-armed demon and the rest before stopping on Ningyu. "Tell me the truth, and I can spare your life." Gulp. Although he didn't know why the shortest demonic beast chose him, Ningyu was very clear that he had to be smarter. Otherwise, he wouldn't even know how he died. "We're trapped. Right now, we're in a magic array," Ningyu said carefully. "What?" The shorter demonic beast's eyes opened wide, and his eyeballs were round and round as he said in a cold voice, "You better speak clearly or I'll kill you." As he spoke, the shortest demonic beast unleashed his aura, suppressing Ningyu. Humph! How arrogant! Just as the shortest demonic beast's aura was about to suppress Ningyu, a strange change occurred. A cold snort resounded in the area. Chi! Subsequently, the void split apart and a figure stood firmly in front of Ningyu. Di Shirtian. The figure that suddenly appeared was precisely Di Shirtian. At this moment, Di Shirtian stood in front of Ningyu with his hands behind his back. His brows arched as he arrogantly looked at the shortest demonic beast. "I want to see how you're going to kill my friends." Swish! Swish! Di Shirtian's appearance caused the expressions of the other 2 demonic beasts to drastically change. They hurriedly flew in front of the shortest demonic beast and stood side by side with him. "Oh, I was wondering who it was. So, it's the 3 heroes of the Moling mountain range." Seeing the 2 taller cultivators standing on the left and right of the shortest, the corner of Di Shirtian's mouth curled up as he sinisterly said, "It's rumored that the 3 heroes of the Moling mountain range have unfathomable cultivation and are incomparably powerful. But from the looks of it, they're merely SOSO. If you're tactful, hurry up and release our friends. Otherwise, I'll make you suffer." One of the taller cultivators coldly said, seemingly intending to make a move. "That's right. Back then, when Master was in seclusion, you guys executed an extremely vicious array and captured 5 of our pinnacle, heavenly sovereign companions. This time, the reason why we're here is to rescue our companions." The other taller cultivator coldly said, "I'm sorry. Back then, I could capture your companions. Now I can capture you guys." Di Shirtan slowly shook his head as he coldly said, "Let me give you guys a piece of advice. Hurry up and surrender. Otherwise, this place will be the place of your deaths. Kill." The 3 pinnacle, heavenly sovereign, realm demonic beasts had always been arrogant. How could they endure Di Shirtian's provocation? The three of them exchanged glances and could see the killing intent in each other's eyes. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. Three figures, three pinnacle heavenly sovereign realm demonic beasts, charged towards Di Shirtian from three different directions. Facing the three heavenly sovereign realm demonic beasts, Di Shirtian wasn't the slightest bit afraid. On the contrary, he chased after them and took the initiative to attack. Have you lost your mind? Seeing that Di Shirtian actually took the initiative to attack, the 100-armed devil couldn't help exclaiming, I think you've forgotten the pain after your wounds healed. From the start, Ning Yu didn't believe that Di Shirtian would lose. Di Shirtian even dared to scheme against a half-saint, not to mention three pinnacle heavenly sovereign realm demonic beasts. Walla! 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 As expected, Ning Yu's guess was right. As Di Shirtian's silhouette dashed out, three yuan qi chains appeared in front of him. Di Shirtian waved his hands, and the energy chains tore through space, each corresponding to a pinnacle heavenly sovereign realm demonic beast. Pa! 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 Under the powerful pressure of the energy chains, the three pinnacle heavenly sovereign realm demonic beasts didn't even have the time to dodge and were slapped in the face. 3 bloody marks appeared on the faces of the 3 demonic beasts. I forgot to tell you guys something. In this array, I'm the absolute ruler. Succeeding in his attack, Di Shirtian retracted the yuan qi chains as he indifferently stated, You guys still have one more day to live. In this one day, I hope that you guys will behave yourselves and not kill each other. If not, I will let you guys know the meaning of cruelty. Buzz. Chapter 1635. Crystal Coffin Crash. The moment Di Shirtian disappeared, the 3 Pinnacle Sky Supreme Realm demonic beasts became enraged. They wanted to start a massacre in this region. Swish! However, before the 3 demonic beasts could make a move, Di Shirtian appeared once again. I've thought about it again, and I feel that I can't let you guys stay together. Di Shirtian made a grabbing motion with his right hand, and in an instant, a huge energy chain appeared in his hand. In the next instant, Di Shirtian swung the energy chain in his hand, dividing the area into 4 regions. Ning Yu and Hu Wentian were in one region, the 100-armed devil and the white-haired elder were in another, and the 3 Pinnacle Sky Supreme Realm demonic beasts were in another. As for the last region, it was empty as though it was waiting for something. Very well, we'll meet again in a day. Di Shirtian kept the energy chain and nodded his head in satisfaction. His figure flashed, and in the blink of an eye, he disappeared without a trace. This time, an hour after Di Shirtian disappeared, the 3 Pinnacle Sky Supreme Realm demonic beasts cautiously approached the boundary of the region. In fact, the shorter demonic beast even stretched out his hand, wanting to touch the barrier. Chi-Chi! Just as his hand touched the barrier, the shorter demonic beast hurriedly retracted it. Although his speed was fast, the shorter demonic beast's hand still turned pitch black. The shorter demonic beast's face turned ugly. Fortunately, his reaction was fast, or his right hand would have been sliced in two. What barrier is this? Why is it so powerful? One of the taller demonic beasts looked at the shorter demonic beast's hand, then at the barrier. We have to think of a way to leave. The other demonic beast didn't bother to check the barrier. His thoughts were simple. If they couldn't leave within a day, the consequences would be unimaginable. Di Shirtian's expression was so calm and collected. One could very well imagine that the fate of their 5 companions who were captured boded ill rather than well. If they couldn't leave quickly, they might even die here. Ningyu, what should we do now? Hu Wentian didn't care about the actions of the 3 Pinnacle Sky Supreme realm demonic beasts. At this point, Hu Wentian had placed all his hopes on Ningyu. After all, it was impossible for him and 10 Sky Supreme 9-tailed foxes to break out of the formation. Even if they could break the formation, they wouldn't be able to escape the pursuit of Di Shirtian and the rest. Don't worry, let me think about it. Ningyu waved his hand and sat down on the ground with his legs crossed. His consciousness sank into his storage ring. The current situation had already exceeded Ningyu's expectations. If he relied on the plan he had formulated beforehand, not only would he not be able to escape, he would also cause Guoliang and Master Zhao to fall into the trap. The only thing he could do now was to communicate with the sapling and see if it had any ideas, or rather, to contact the mysterious expert within the Tower of the Supremacy of Yu. However, ever since Ningyu discovered that he was trapped in the formation, he had been trying to contact the mysterious expert in the Tower of Yuzuan. The result was regrettable. No matter what Ningyu did, he couldn't contact the mysterious expert in the Tower of the Supremacy of Yuzuan. Not only that, with Ningyu's perception, he couldn't even enter the 10th level of the Tower of the Supremacy of Yuzuan. Seal the Tower of the Supremacy of Yuzuan. The mysterious expert had sealed the space above the 10th level of the Tower of the Supremacy of Yuzuan. For Ningyu, this bad news was really like a rain that poured on a roof. That was why Ningyu had placed all his hopes on the sapling. Ignoring Hu Wentian's question, Ningyu blocked off all external interference and began to converse with the sapling. There was no need for Ningyu to explain the current situation to the sapling. Break the formation and leave, or find Di Shirtian and the other experts in the Saint-grade crystal mine and kill them all in one fell swoop. Of course, killing Di Shirtian and the other experts was extremely difficult as ascending to the heavens. The sapling wouldn't consider this method for the time being. After pondering for a moment, the sapling said, using a small-scale world, I might be able to forcefully open a small hole and send you out. How high is the success rate? Ningyu asked. Less than 10%. The sapling replied. So low? Ningyu's heart thumped. With such a low success rate, it was almost impossible to accomplish. If you can divert Di Shirtian's attention, I can raise the success rate to 20%. The sapling said unhappily. Under Di Shirtian's gaze, a success rate of less than 10% is already very good. All right, luring Di Shirtian away is a difficult task. Ningyu drew in a deep breath, a helpless expression on his face. Rumble. Just as Ningyu was about to say something, the entire region started to shake. Also, the frequency of the shaking increased faster and faster. Crash! Even the surrounding stone walls started to collapse. All sorts of huge rocks fell from the sky, landing in the 4 regions. Luckily, Ningyu and the rest's cultivation wasn't restricted. Otherwise, the rocks that fell from the sky would be enough to smash them into meat paste. Not good. There's a problem with the crystal coffin. The sudden change caused the faces of Di Shirtian and the rest who were hiding in another room to change drastically. Crack! The crystals on the walls of the room suddenly shattered. The shattering of the crystal meant that Di Shirtian and the rest had no way of knowing what happened to Ningyu and the rest. Di Shirtian, go and stabilize the formation. Don't let the prey escape. I'll bring them to the crystal coffin to see what problem the old ancestor has encountered. Di Feng immediately ordered Di Shirtian to take care of the array while he brought the 2 late heavenly sovereigns to the crystal coffin. Buzz! Di Feng's figure flickered, disappearing in the blink of an eye. The 2 late stage heavenly sovereigns also followed behind Di Feng and disappeared, fusing into the void. Why would the crystal coffin riot at this time? Seeing Di Feng disappear, Di Shirtian couldn't help feeling annoyed. Originally, everything was going according to plan. They were just waiting for Ning Yu's half-step Saint Master to come over so that they could activate the formation and transfer the refined energy to the old ancestor who was guarding the crystal coffin. Then the old ancestor would refine the entire crystal coffin. Who would have thought that there would be a change at such a crucial moment? Di Shirtian knew better than anyone that the crystal coffin riot was definitely because the demon spirit realm expert imprisoned in the crystal coffin had awakened. One should know that the demon spirit realm expert imprisoned in the crystal coffin was a genuine saint realm expert. Although he had been suppressed in the crystal coffin for so many years, a saint was still a saint. Once he broke out of the coffin, the consequences would be unimaginable. At the very least, the old half-step saint from the Emperor God Palace couldn't suppress him. Let's stabilize the formation first. If there's no other way, I'll activate the formation in advance and refine them all. Di Shirtian's silhouette flickered, flying towards the direction of the formation as he thought to himself. At this time, he had to be decisive without the slightest bit of hesitation. Otherwise, the Emperor God Palace would be annihilated. Chapter 1636. Shatter. Rumble. Di Shirtian's speed was extremely fast. It didn't take long for him to appear in the formation. However, at this moment, the formation was already in ruins. The 4 barriers that he had set up had also disappeared. The 4 regions had once again merged into one. Most importantly, the formation was on the verge of collapse, and there were areas where it seemed to be cracking. At this rate, it wouldn't be long before the formation was completely destroyed. No, I have to activate the formation. Di Shirtian decisively decided to activate the formation and refine the 100-armed devil and the rest. Both of his hands formed seals. Di Shirtian shouted, "Limitless heaven and earth, open for me!" Following the sound of Di Shirtian's voice, a violent, devouring force appeared within the formation. The devouring power first appeared beside the pinnacle sky supreme demonic beast. In just a single exchange, a third of the demonic beast's energy was devoured. The formation is in chaos now. Everyone, join hands to deal with Di Shirtian. We have to kill him before he activates the formation. The other 2 pinnacle sky supreme demonic beasts shouted when they saw the energy in the shorter demonic beast's body rapidly decreasing. As they shouted, they charged towards Di Shirtian. Take the lead. The 2 pinnacle sky supreme demonic beasts decided to fight Di Shirtian with their lives. Because of the formation's chaos coupled with the 2 pinnacle sky supreme demonic beast attacks, Di Shirtian couldn't activate the formation and the devouring power within a short period of time. And the formation was in chaos, causing a huge impact on Di Shirtian. At this moment, it was already extremely difficult for Di Shirtian to gain the absolute advantage like before. Right now, he could only bitterly hold on. So much so that if the formation was in chaos again, he might not be a match for the pinnacle sky supreme demonic beasts. What should we do? Hu Wentian asked with a grave expression when he saw Di Shirtian fighting the 2 demonic beasts. What else can we do? Of course, we have to help. Ning Yu said solemnly. Ning Yu was clear that this was the best time to leave. If he missed this opportunity, there wouldn't be another one. Only when the formation was in chaos would he be able to kill Di Shirtian and leave this damned place. Without the restriction of the formation, Ning Yu believed that he wouldn't be in such a sorry state if he encountered experts from Emperor Divine Palace again. All right. Hu Wentian also trusted Ning Yu unconditionally. He stomped on the ground and quickly rushed out to join the battle. Voila! After Hu Wentian made his move, the 10 initial phase heavenly sovereigns behind him also charged out. Originally, Di Shirtian was already on the verge of collapsing. Now that Hu Wentian and the rest had joined in, Di Shirtian had no way of dealing with them. Hu Wentian, if you dare to attack me again, I'll trigger the black gas in your body and you'll die a horrible death. Di Shirtian was very intelligent. Seeing that he could not hold on any longer, he used the black gas to threaten Hu Wentian. Di Shirtian, as long as you hand over the antidote, I will make Hu Wentian stop. Ning Yu's brows twitched as he hurriedly shouted at Di Shirtian. At his peak, Hu Wentian was a pinnacle heavenly supreme. If he could convince Hu Wentian to join the Supreme Hall, the strength of the Supreme Hall would definitely rise by a level. Di Shirtian's threat allowed Ning Yu to see an opportunity. As long as he could obtain the antidote, he could use it to convince Hu Wentian to join the Supreme Hall. He believed that for the sake of the antidote, Hu Wentian would definitely join the Supreme Hall unconditionally. You have to swear an oath to the heavens. Di Shirtian did not really trust Ning Yu, as he coldly stated. No problem. Ning Yu did not intend to lie to Di Shirtian from the start. Hence, he straightforwardly swore an oath to the heavens. For you. Hearing Ning Yu swearing an oath to the heavens, Di Shirtian flicked his wrist and tossed a jade bottle over to Ning Yu. Pa! Catching the jade bottle, Ning Yu unleashed his perception. After a brief inspection, he turned to Hu Wentian and said, There's no problem with the antidote, you can return it. Because when Hu Wentian swallowed the antidote for the first time, Ning Yu had also probed it. Hence, when Di Shirtian took out the antidote again, Ning Yu knew that there was no problem. Okay. Hu Wentian believed in Ning Yu. When Ning Yu told him to retreat, he immediately brought the 10 nine-tailed foxes and retreated. Damn it! What the hell are you guys doing? Seeing Hu Wentian retreating with the 10 nine-tailed foxes, one of the pinnacle heavenly sovereigns cursed. If we allow Di Shirtian to regain control of the array, we'll all die. Don't talk nonsense with me. If we don't make a move, there will naturally be others willing to. Ning Yu naturally did not place the words of a pinnacle heavenly sovereign in his heart. While he was speaking, he casually glanced at the 100-armed devil and the white-haired old man. Ning Yu's meaning was simple. The 100-armed devil and the white-haired old man were both very powerful. If they joined hands to deal with Di Shirtian, he would definitely not be able to escape. Consider yourself ruthless. The 100-armed devil ruthlessly glared at Ning Yu. In the next instant, his silhouette flickered as he entered the battlefield. As for the white-haired old man and the short and fat old man, the two of them only hesitated for a second before they rushed out and joined the battle. Originally, Di Shirtian was already at a disadvantage. Now, there were 3 more experts joining the fray against Di Shirtian, causing him to be unable to retaliate and could only passively defend, unable to retaliate. Pucci. Merely 5 minutes passed. Di Shirtian was seized by the 100-armed devil, and his fist landed on Di Shirtian's chest. A huge force transmitted from his chest, causing Di Shirtian to spurt out a mouthful of blood as his body was flung backwards. The direction Di Shirtian was flying in was coincidentally the direction of the white-haired old man and the short and fat old man. Without a doubt, the white-haired old man and the short and fat old man had each landed a kick on Di Shirtian's back. Kacha! The sound of bones breaking rang out from Di Shirtian's body. Arg! In the next instant, Di Shirtian let out a hysterical roar. This is so infuriating. I want to perish together with all of you. Di Shirtian, who was in a frenzied state, pounded his chest unceasingly with his fists, forcing out tens of drops of blood essence. Voila! In the next instant, Di Shirtian's blood essence was like a torrential downpour, permeating the entire area. Not good. Di Shirtian wants to destroy the formation. Quickly think of a way to leave. Di Shirtian's actions caused Ning Yu's heart to pound. If they didn't leave now, when Di Shirtian destroyed the formation, they wouldn't be able to leave anymore. Hence, the instant Di Shirtian forced out his blood essence, Ning Yu hurriedly unleashed his perception, wanting to find a gap in the formation. Not only was Ning Yu searching for a gap, the 100-armed devil Huentian, the short, demonic beast, etc. Almost all the cultivators within the formation were searching for a gap. There's a gap here. Chapter 1637. Fleeing in all directions. Let's go. Ningyu and Xia Zhe did not hesitate even a little when they heard the words of the bamboo hat lady. They immediately moved and charged over. Hu Wentian had been paying attention to Ningyu from the start. The moment Ningyu left, Hu Wentian brought the 10 nine-tailed demon foxes and chased after him. As for the 100-armed devil and the rest, because they had to deal with Di Shirtian, their speed was slower by half a beat. Please bring me along. When Ningyu arrived at the gap, the bamboo-hatted lady's voice was filled with a hint of pleading. Xia Zhe, bring her along. Ningyu was very clear of his own strength. With his earth sovereign cultivation, if he brought the bamboo-hatted lady along, he would definitely be finished. However, the bamboo-hatted lady was the one who discovered the gap. You could not leave her behind. Hence, Ningyu hurriedly left behind a few words before rushing out of the gap. As for Xia Zhe, he grabbed the bamboo-hatted lady and followed closely behind Ningyu. And then, Hu Wentian and the 10 nine-tailed demon foxes also left through the gap in an orderly manner. Ha ha ha, all of you must die. Seeing tens of drops of blood dripping onto the ground, Di Shirtian laughed uproariously. As Di Shirtian's laughter rang out, his body began to swell up. It's over, he wants to self-detonate. Seeing Di Shirtian's body expanding, the 100-armed devil and the rest's expressions drastically changed. Their hearts sank to the bottom. At this moment, they no longer had the desire to fight against Di Shirtian. The 100-armed devil, the white-haired old man, the short and fat old man, as well as the 3 peak-stage heavenly supreme demonic beasts, all 6 of them gave up on Di Shirtian and rushed towards the gap in the formation. Di Shirtian was a late-stage heavenly supreme. One could only imagine the might of a late-stage heavenly supreme's self-detonation. No one wanted to stay in the formation and endure the might of Di Shirtian's self-detonation. However, the gap wasn't too big. Those who arrived first would definitely leave first. The 100-armed demon was the closest to the gap, so he entered the gap first and disappeared. Then the white-haired old man and the short and fat old man also came to the gap. However, before the 2 of them could leave, 3 pinnacle heavenly sovereigns blocked their path. The shorter demonic beast kicked the white-haired old man and the short and fat old man towards Di Shirtian. Ah! The pupils of the white-haired old man and the short and fat old man shrank, and they couldn't help but shout. Since the white-haired elder and the short elder were focused on the gap, they neglected the 3 pinnacle sky supreme demonic beasts. Now that they were being kicked towards Di Shirtian, the white-haired old man and the short and fat old man could only do their best to stabilize themselves before rushing towards the opening once again. Bang! Bang! The 2 crisp sounds completely shattered the hope in the hearts of the white-haired old man and the short and fat old man. Damn it! Damn it! Damn it! Damn it! The white-haired old man and the short and stout old man stared at the gap in the formation as they cursed incessantly. However, it was too late to say anything now. Di Shirtian's body had already expanded to its limit, and right in front of the 2 of them he exploded. Rumble! With Di Shirtian as the center, the terrifying shockwaves from the explosion spread out in all directions. Voila! The formation unleashed its last bit of energy. Although it was on the verge of collapse, it still managed to block the shockwaves from Di Shirtian's explosion and firmly controlled the shockwaves within the formation. The formation controlled the shockwaves from spreading out, but the white-haired old man and the short and fat old man suffered. Even if the 2 of them used all their strength, it was still hard for them to block the shockwaves from Di Shirtian's self-detonation. The shockwaves left as quickly as they came. In just 3 minutes, the shock waves from D. Shirtian's self-detonation vanished like smoke in thin air. Kacha! And the formation in this region also collapsed the instant the shock waves dissipated. As the shock waves dissipated, the formation broke apart. Everything seemed to be in shambles, but in reality it was a different situation. Io. From the ruins, a soft voice rang out. Following that, 2 figures slowly walked out from the ruins, the white-haired old man and the short and fat old man. In order to block the shock waves from D. Shirtian's self-detonation, the 2 of them did not hesitate to burn their blood essence and used all sorts of trump cards. In the end, their lives were saved, but their cultivation dropped to the early stage Sky Supreme. If I don't take revenge for this, I'm not human. The white-haired old man clenched his fists, and a cold voice came from his mouth. What do we do now? The short and fat old man was very calm. In other words, the short and fat old man understood their current situation very well. At their peak, they were mid-stage Sky Supreme. Combined with their trump cards, even in a Saint-grade primal crystal mine, they were considered a peak power. But now, both of their cultivations had dropped to the early Sky Supreme realm. In a Saint-grade primal crystal mine filled with experts, an early-stage Sky Supreme could only be considered cannon fodder. What else can we do? Of course, we have to find those 3 demonic beasts and finish them off. The white-haired old man said fiercely, wanting nothing more than to kill the 3 peak Sky Supreme demonic beasts. The short and fat old man asked, We're only early-stage Sky Supreme now. How are we going to kill those 3 peak Sky Supreme demonic beasts? Don't we still have a trump card? As long as we use it, not to mention peak Sky Supreme, even if they're half holy, the white-haired old man said hatefully. Nonsense. The short and fat old man finally raged. That trump card is to open the crystal coffin. We can't use it until we see the crystal coffin. All right, then tell me, what should we do now? The white-haired old man sighed and then asked. First, find a place to rest and wait for our strength to recover a little. Then we'll go to the deepest part of the Saint-grade primal crystal mine and find the crystal coffin. The short and fat old man's eyes turned cold, and he said calmly, That's the only way. The white-haired old man nodded, and his figure flickered, fusing with the void. Buzz! 10 minutes after the white-haired old man and the short and fat old man disappeared, the space in this area split open again, and then 2 figures suddenly appeared. If D. Shirtian was still alive, he would have noticed that the 2 warriors were the 2 late heavenly sovereigns that followed Defeng. The formation is broken. One of the late-stage Sky Supreme warriors with a knife scar on his face looked terrible. Why don't we see D. Shirtian? The other late-stage Sky Supreme warrior with short hair was also puzzled. Not long after they arrived at the crystal coffin, Defeng had ordered the 2 warriors to come and help D. Shirtian. But what could they do? Now that the formation was broken and D. Shirtian had disappeared without a trace, the scar-faced cultivator and the short-haired cultivator had extremely ugly expressions on their faces. In fact, they had already guessed a possibility. They just didn't want to believe it. You're tuning in to the Thunder Spear YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.